the Wizards.
When we walk into the building each and every day, we feel that leadership, we feel that presence. And so not having him, there's clearly a void. And we miss him.
There's no word on when Pop will return, but he is expected to.
And we're finally on. Hello, everybody. Good morning, Travis, Kemper, Rooster, Sam, Chris. Oh, that's you.
It's me.
Sam, I said already. Echo, echo, echo. Rooster. Rooster in the morning says a cock-a-doodle-doo.
Yes. Well, it's number 3 dinners, Noah girl.
It says, that's as far as we can go. Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning. Thank you, Kemper. Oh. Man, I hate when.
So do I. I at this point, just because it's a little more creative. I mean, that they kind of work from what Charity had and say who in Trump's orbit would you like to see named to his cabinet? I don't love it yet, but she mentioned like Hulk Hogan, Kid Rock, Danica Patrick.
Kid Rock. Kid Rock could be the drug czar.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, the after hours party. Oh, look. Wow.
What's going on?
She's doing traffic. So what's happening here?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We talked for a short period of time about going forward and how we have to do this in a bipartisan fashion. We need the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans on exactly the same page, and we will be.
And Senator Ted Cruz's vote went to Senator Rick Scott of Florida, then will replace Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, who will still serve the final 2 years of his Senate term.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that, Kemper. I hope you're doing better. Good morning, Tommy.
What's going on with Kemper?
She had to go to the doctor last night because the allergies got so bad.
Oh, no. I'm sorry about that.
Yes, I know. It's supposed to be in the 40s here too, Sam, and I don't like it.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says President Biden and President-elect Trump met for nearly 2 hours.
Oh, look. What was it? You missed him. You missed Nico.
Oh, darn it.
Yeah. And guess what? He was wearing suspenders.
I'm shocked.
And this is the second defensive attorney I've heard that says there's probably not enough to convict him. Simpson.
Okay.
But wait till they find the body then. Good morning, RK.
Immigration raids and mass deportations in Texas. There are worries that Hispanic Americans will be unfairly out of the Mexican Americans. Born and raised here, San Antonio State Senator Roland Gutierrez said on social media that he fears workplace raids will affect the state's economy. A recent study shows that 30% of major construction trades, such as roofers and painters,
No, this is not looking good, man.
What's that?
It's our drummer and Sarah and
Yeah,
Sarah.
oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Double Sarah.
We can move on.
Double Sarah. Time to go to the convent.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Time with family, laughs with friends, and cash back. Discover's got you covered on the last one. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with cash back match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
That was one hard day. Which one?
And we're back. She says she's not in love with it, so don't feel obligated.
Well, at this point, it seems more, when you put in like a Hulk Hogan and Kid Rock, and it seems like there's more options. So let's keep looking.
Yeah.
I'm ready to pivot.
To what, though? I mean,
I know.
That's the hard part.
Oh, you got Wembanyama scoring 50. There could be something Spurs.
Well, I know it's a little premature, but if the Spurs do win the in-season tournament, do we give them a river parade, Chris?
It's a thought.
Oh, stand by.
Okay. Welcome into this beautiful day, Thursday, November 14th, 2024. 14 days until Thanksgiving, 41 days until Christmas, 67 days until Inauguration Day, and 218 days until Mr. T and I celebrate the first day of summer. And it's cold.
Yeah.
Charity, I could use some summer right about now.
I know, but it is fall, guys. And, it's that crisp, clean, cool fall air. And, you had a clear view of that beautiful moon in the sky. I mean, what's not to like? I don't understand.
It's too cold. I like everything you said except for the cold part.
Okay.
Yes. I had to wear a jacket this morning.
Yes, right? Yeah.
But the moon did look very cool on
It
the way
did.
in.
Did very cool.
And I noticed the deer in the parking lot. They seem to be a little bit friendlier. They're coming closer, or maybe it's just me. I have that, Snow White effect. I don't know.
It must be because they were actually looking at me, kind of, cross-eyed, side-eyeing me, and all that stuff when I got out of my car. And I'm like, wait, what did I do?
Yeah, they did not run away though when I pulled in. They're
That's
like,
true.
"Hey, all right, here he is."
Yeah.
There's that dude that
I ain't
comes in
scared
every
of
morning
you.
about this time. Yeah. So very, very cool. That moon will be officially full tomorrow. So get out there and look at the moon if you get a chance tonight, later tonight when it's dark once again. I think it's probably set by now. It was pretty low on the horizon when I walked in here about an hour ago. So, all right, lots to talk about. Wow. Some new cabinet appointments by President-elect Donald Trump. He meets with Joe Biden. So much to talk about. But first, let's get started with traffic and weather together.
Lots of sunshine today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Today and tomorrow, highs in the upper 70s. Saturday, highs in the low 80s. 51 degrees in New Braunfels, 56 in Alamo Heights, and 54 right here at the Radio Ranch. WOAI News Time, 511.
San Antonio's First News. That's Mr. T, Tim Merriman. She's Charity McCurdy. Charlie Parker with Those Were the Days in the next hour. He'll join us in studio at 7:50. Andrew Zimmel, currently flying the Millennium Falcon solo. He is the toast of San Antonio Sports Talk Radio.
Yeah.
He was filling in for Andy Everett yesterday on Ticket 760.
Yeah, he was. I didn't get a chance to check it out because I was sleeping, but I'll go back and listen to the podcast, as the kids say.
That's right. The kids say there's a podcast out there. What a day for Donald Trump and the transition from the Biden administration to the Trump administration, which will happen on Inauguration Day, January 20th. But not only that meeting with Joe Biden at the Oval Office, but certainly one of those two cabinet names that were dropped yesterday, raising eyebrows among Republicans and Democrats. That would be Attorney General Matt Gaetz, but also Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, raising a few eyebrows here and there as well.
Yeah, you wonder how this will go over when in Senate confirmation hearings. Obviously, GOP control in the Senate. So you imagine this will be mostly smooth sailing. But there are even those within the Republican Party that are saying Matt Gaetz, as the nation's chief law enforcement officer in the Justice Department, was not on their bingo card.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming either. And I think that confirmation is going to be one of those long ones.
Yes.
It's going to take a while.
Well, and, there are some allegations against Matt Gaetz that are, not very nice, involving underage girls.
Yeah.
So you got to wonder what that's going to be like. I just wonder, as you mentioned, Charity, the Senate in Republican control, when they reconvene, when they would hold these hearings to confirm, how many of them would. I mean, if Donald Trump wants Matt Gaetz as his attorney general, which Republicans are going to want to not vote for that?
Yeah, because they're worried about their own political future. I think a lot's going to come down to whether or not the House Ethics Committee will release its report regarding that investigation of sexual misconduct and obstruction of justice for Matt Gaetz. But since he's resigned from Congress, that investigation is no longer going to move forward. But they still have that report, so I wonder if that will end up being released.
Yeah, and should it be? Should it be released? I think it should.
It's a big position in our
It's
government.
a big position. So I think any information they have should be released, at least so the American public can make their decisions.
Sure.
And I would imagine if it is in the hands of any Democrats on the investigative committee,
it'll get leaked.
It will probably get leaked.
Yeah.
That's just the way things tend to work on Capitol Hill. Lots more coming up. We got a question for you this morning. A talkback question. We'll ask that coming up. We'll get you caught up on headlines, traffic, weather, and more. And at 5:40, Navy veteran Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez of the 23rd District will talk about his victory, Donald Trump's victory, and the border at 5:40. WOAI News Time, 5:15.
And we're back.
At Elmer's, we like to do heating and air differently.
For just $129, Elmer has the entire system top to bottom.
It's clean, quiet, and family safe.
Your system will go stronger, go colder and warmer
And use less energy doing it.
all year long.
And if you don't think our Elmer station is the best heating and air service you've ever received, you get your money back.
Call Elmer for your complete visit. Ain't the Elmerization.
Online at callelmers.com.
This is Randy Carroll for Radiant Roofing. This is a roofer that I trust and I recommend. They're family owned and operated. And I love the fact that they understand that if they don't take care of your family's
Kemper, Tommy Miller, welcome in. Tim from the Philippines. RK, good morning. Rooster.
Dun, 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 dun. 50 points for Victor Wembanyama.
Woo!
Retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
God, Mitch Johnson looks so young, doesn't he?
Say what?
He looks so young.
He does.
Mitch Johnson,
Yeah.
my gosh.
Driving home from work, you got time for 10 takes. Taking a smoke break, you still smoke? You got time for 10 takes. Listen to 10 takes with Kyle Brandt on America's number one podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search 10 takes with Kyle Brandt.
Sam Tobias, Chris, stand by.
San Antonio's first news. Coming up, we got a question for you about the Trump cabinet. Lots to talk about. Some big Spurs news on a couple of fronts yesterday and overnight. We'll get into that as well. First, Charity McCurdy, what stories are you following?
President-elect Donald Trump is nominating Florida Republican Matt Gaetz for U.S. Attorney General, who is resigning from Congress. South Dakota's John Thune is the new leader of Senate Republicans. And the SAISD board is set to discuss the possible sale of land for a new Mission Stadium. We'll have the details right now, traffic and weather.
Just how long is this cool front going to stick around? We welcome in News 4 San Antonio meteorologist Jeanette Kaye. Good morning, Jeanette. Thanks, Jeanette. 54 degrees here at the Radio Ranch. WOEI News Time, 521.
San Antonio's first news coming up at 540. Congressman, Navy veteran, Tony Gonzalez, who just won convincingly re-election last week, 62% of the vote. We'll talk about his win. We'll talk about Donald Trump's victory. We'll talk about the border. He is very, very locked in to the border and what we can now do with Republicans in control of the executive branch and both houses of Congress, what can be done to help fix the border. Well, yesterday, some heads exploded when Donald Trump said that he would nominate Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Not as many heads exploded, but some certainly on the left when Tulsi Gabbard his name was revealed as the choice by Donald Trump for Director of National Intelligence. So, what we would like to ask you this morning on our Talkback feature, if you could name a person to Donald Trump's cabinet, who would it be and why? And you can go anywhere. You can go in Trump's orbit. You could go Kid Rock. You could go Sean Hannity. You could go Mike Opelka.
Yeah.
In Trump's case. So we would like to know who and why. And Charity, how would they get us this information?
The free iHeartRadio app. You just search 1200 WOAI. Look for that red circle. That's the talkback button. And you got 30 seconds to let us know.
Something like this, Danica Patrick as Secretary of Transportation.
Ooh.
See how that fits right there? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see
Dr.
it.
Phil as the, medical guy. He'd be
The Surgeon General.
Surgeon General. There you go.
You're on fire. I like both of those.
Maybe Hulk Hogan, as newly appointed fitness czar.
Ooh, fitness czar. I like that. Kid Rock is the drug czar.
Kid Rock as the drug czar. Thinking of Lauren Boebert
Ooh.
overseeing the Second Amendment. Yeah, she's a big gun person.
Big gun person, yes.
Or, Michael Lindell as White House pillow fluffer. There's so many places you could go.
Yes, there has got to be a place in the Trump cabinet for my pillow guy.
It's the My Pillow
Lindell.
Fluffer.
Yes. Can you say fluffer? I guess if you're a pillow fluffer, I guess. Secretary of Pillow Fluffing, Mike Lindell.
Wow. I love it.
He has like slippers too.
Yes.
Not just the My Pillows, but the My Slippers.
We can
My
expand on
slippers,
that role for sure.
Do you have his My Slippers yet, Charity? Have you ordered Mike Lindell's My Slippers yet?
I don't. I saw his products in Bed Bath & Beyond one time, but I didn't bite. Yeah.
Good for you.
You might in the coming year in 2025.
And I think Kelsey Grammer was a supporter of Trump, so you can make him, Secretary of Psychiatry or
I
something.
like it.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
okay.
we're just building the Trump cabinet right here this morning.
We'll let him know.
Yes, we would like your suggestions for the Trump cabinet. Let us know on the Talkback feature. We'll play them on the air and react. As I mentioned, Congressman Tony Gonzalez at 5:40. Charity coming right up with all the big stories you need to know about at the bottom of the hour. WOAI News Time, 5:24.
And we're back.
Hey, everybody.
And we're back.
RK should be in the
Yeah.
Secretary of Harley's.
Yes.
Yes. I have to sneeze. I'm going to step away.
On anticipation of lower taxes and less regulation. That is an incredibly powerful combination, and we don't just see that as a one-month wonder. We see that as an underpinning into 2025. Of course, there are unforeseen issues. There's always market risks, and there's the markets at a high valuation.
5:31 is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Thursday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, Trump announces more key staff picks and the latest on Coach Pop's health scare. We'll have details, first traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in mornings. Your weather forecast for this Thursday: sunny skies, a high of 78. Tonight's low near 50. Right now, 57 degrees. President-elect Trump has chosen far-right Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to lead the Department of Justice, and he resigned from Congress immediately. Fox's Aisha Hasni has more.
Speaker Mike Johnson says when he had a conversation with Gaetz, Gaetz's reasoning was to basically give Florida Governor Ron DeSantis plenty of time to hold a special election so they don't threaten the majority in the House.
If we start the clock now, if you do the math, we may be able to fill that seat as early as January 3rd when we take the new oath of office for the new Congress. So Matt would have done us a great service by making that decision as he did on the fly. And so we're grateful for that.
But that does not mean that Gaetz has a clear path to Senate confirmation. Mixed reaction in the upper chamber, where Senator Tommy Tuberville is supportive, while Senator Kramer calls it a long shot, and Senator Murkowski says he is not a serious candidate.
The now former congressman was once investigated for sex trafficking by the Justice Department and was under scrutiny by the House Ethics Committee for sexual misconduct. While critics worry that Trump's on a so-called revenge tour by appointing loyalists to his administration, RNC co-chair Laura Trump tells Fox's Hannity that the president-elect's version of revenge is success.
Donald Trump said, "My revenge will be success, and success will bring us together and unify us."
Trump also has an advantage of having a Republican majority in the House and the Senate, paving the way for his agenda to be passed more easily. Republicans elected South Dakota's John Thune as the new Senate Majority Leader, opting not to go with Florida's Rick Scott or John Cornyn of Texas. Benji Heyer reports.
He replaces Senator Mitch McConnell, who's held the top leadership post among Republicans for the past 17 years. It's a major blow for Rick Scott, the man endorsed by Donald Trump's inner circle, including Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Thune has crossed swords with Trump before, when he stood up to the then president's attempts to overturn the 2020 election result, but they've since tried to mend fences. Benji Heyer, Washington.
Well, the Spurs are confirming that head coach Greg Popovich suffered a mild stroke nearly 2 weeks ago. It happened at the Frost Bank Center on November 2nd, the day the Spurs welcomed the Timberwolves. Spurs general manager Brian Wright spoke to the media prior to the team's win over the Wizards last night.
You know, it takes a village, and we're all committed to that. But most importantly, we're committed to making sure that he has everything he needs and giving him the time and space to continue to recover, and we'll look forward to getting him back.
There's no word on when Pop will return, but he is expected to make a full recovery. The Spurs won last night's game, 139-130. Victor Wembanyama had a career-high 50 points. The San Antonio ISD board meets next Monday to discuss what to do with a piece of land where the San Antonio Missions want to build a baseball stadium. The district laid out 5 conditions for selling the parking lot on Cameron Street. They include funding a new school and parking garage, annual payments to the district, and building affordable housing in the district. If its demands are not met, district officials may sell the land to a higher bidder instead of to the Missions and their partners. President-elect Trump is not the only one who wants to make America healthy again. Texas state lawmakers are also talking about ways to combat an epidemic of chronic diseases that affect the state's future.
We pay for Medicaid, but we do not regulate the type of food in SNAP or school lunches. I think some of these questions have to be asked.
State Senator Lois Kolkhorst held a hearing on the issues this week. One of the bills filed for the upcoming session would get additives and preservatives out of free and reduced price school lunches. If it seems like more retail outlets are closing up shop rather than holding grand openings, research shows you're right. Here's Fox's Gernald Scott.
As of last week, a research and data firm shows retail closures are outpacing newly open businesses. Coresight Research tells Fox Business stores shutting their doors number nearly 6,500, while there were slightly less than 5,400 openings. The closings mark the most since the height of the pandemic. Adding to concerns about the economy, Coresight also found that at least 43 companies have declared bankruptcy this year, compared to 25 last year. Factors exist on both sides, consumers not wanting to pay higher prices and retailers facing high labor costs, both affecting the bottom line. Gernald Scott, Fox News.
It is 5:37 now with breaking crime news from around the country. Here's Nancy Grace.
Okay, then.
Traffic and weather together in a minute. But first, a check of your money in the world of business. We say good morning to Courtney Donahoe live at the Bloomberg News Desk.
Good morning to The Rock. The Rock is in here.
Good morning, Rock. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Courtney. News at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy. Here's traffic and weather.
And we're back real quick. Hello, everybody.
Good morning, Tim Kemper, Steve Duraco, The Rock, RK, Travis, Sika Pollen.
Sika. You're using Elon's signature? All the rockets.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Time for
It's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today.
okay, everybody.
Good hands with Allstate.
I'm charging. I bought, because this weekend I'm going to be outdoors, I bought a heated vest.
Oh, did you?
With a charge. So I'm charging.
Those things work like you would not believe.
Yeah,
dude.
I'm
unbelievable.
looking forward to trying
Do
it.
you have electric socks?
No,
They make those too.
I should have
The
looked into
Academy's got them.
it. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm open to anything.
Yeah, those make, because your feet get cold, then you're cold.
Yes.
So stand by.
San Antonio's first news. Charity McCurdy, Mr. T, Tim Merriman. I'm Chris Duell. Coming up at 5:50, we'll hear from you on the talkback. Who would you like to name to the Trump cabinet, and why? And what would their position be? We're already getting some amazing, some amazing talkbacks. Looking forward to those. But right now, we welcome in Congressman from the 23rd District, U.S. Navy veteran. He just won re-election last week with 62% of the vote, quite convincingly. Well, let's welcome in Congressman Tony Gonzalez. Congressman, how does it feel to win by such a large margin?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, no, it feels great. It definitely shows that you're doing something right, and you just got to keep working at it. I was really, there was a lot of positives that night, but I was really excited that we were able to win El Paso County, which is completely unheard of. This was a Biden 33 county, part of my district last cycle, and we won by 3 points in that area. So whether it's, the most blue, the most red, didn't matter. Folks came out and got behind us, and it feels great.
And Congressman, a lot of people still processing the outcome of the election, especially if it didn't go the way they hoped or expected. And we heard President-elect Trump bring a message of unity in his victory speech. How important is that as we look ahead to the next 4 years?
I think it's very important. I think most of us, I think for the last several years, it feels as if politics has been turned on and we haven't been able to turn it off. You can't get away from it. I don't think it used to always be that way, but we do need to get back to what's in the betterment of our country, of our state, of our local communities, and less of the rhetoric kind of spewing there. And so I'm very excited for Texas. I'm very excited for the change that's coming, certainly needed. It was very evident in the election results on how many people just wanted to go in a different direction. And now really it's up to Congress. I think Congress plays a very important role to deliver on some of these priorities to make sure people's lives are better, things are safer, our kids are productive and healthy, all those wonderful things.
And I know border security was one of the main things I think that won this election for President Trump. How is this mass deportation going to take place? Do we know what the logistics are on this yet?
I think they're still working through everything. The way that I continue to advocate for is we need to focus on the convicted criminals. If you remember a few months ago, I had a letter that I got in response to some questions I asked ICE. And in this letter, it highlighted all these convicted criminals. Once again, I don't envision a world where you're going door to door and rounding people up. I do envision a world where we already know these convicted criminals of very serious crimes, murder, rape, just these heinous crimes are loose in our community. And actually, we're already ahead of that this year in the Homeland Appropriations bill. I was able to get some language in there that mandates that local, state, and federal law enforcement all work together when dealing with some of these criminal aliens. So I think that's what we need to focus on: convicted criminals. Let's round them up, deport those folks.
Amen. And Congressman, as Mr. T just alluded, we certainly learned from exit polls and just by the results of this election that the border was a huge issue, certainly in Texas and across the country. How convinced are you now that under Republican leadership, the border will be fixed in such a way that we don't go back to the way things were?
Yeah, this was some of the frustrations I had with the current administration. There's some things that you literally can do today, Chris, to make things better. And for whatever reason, they always felt that it was just a political problem. While it is and will always be a political issue, there is very much some policy things that you can do today. You can, when people come over, you can speed up the amount of time they get their cases. You can get them done in days, not years. You start doing that. If people do not qualify for asylum, which 9 out of 10 don't, you immediately deport them. That alleviates some stress. And I'd also like to hear some talk on legal immigration. I'm talking about folks doing it the right way. I think that's why you saw so many Hispanic communities kind of go in a different direction this election cycle, go away from the Democratic Party and start and start giving a chance to the Republican Party is, what about them? What about the people that are doing it the right way? It's unfair for you to be in the back of the line when there's pure lawlessness. But bottom line is people deserve to feel safe. And in my district, we've been ground zero. We've been unsafe due to these high-speed chases, the pure chaos, and the people you are coming over that you just don't know who they are. So I think Republicans, you'll see a very quick change.
Our thanks to Congressman Tony Gonzalez. Coming up, we go back in time with Flashback. Then we're going to hear from you. Who would you like to see added to the Donald Trump cabinet? As he's already making some heads explode with names like Matt Gaetz and even Tulsi Gabbard. Your nominations for the Trump cabinet coming up. WOAI News Time, 546.
And we're back.
Steve Duraco, day 20. My goodness. What a madman.
Day 20. Wow. Are you running for office?
Steve Duraco could be in the Trump cabinet.
Sure he could.
The alcohol czar.
Good morning, Bob.
Bob, welcome in.
And hand warmers. Kemper says hand warmers work great.
I might look into all of the above.
Standard, which is the highest standard of care in the advisory business. And that's just one of the many reasons we have billions of dollars under our care and attract clients from other advisors. Raise your standards today and call Well.
There you go. RK for Common Sense Czar. I like it.
Huh. Has a ring to it. Do, 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 do.
How many talkbacks at the moment? Still 5?
Yeah. See.
Cool.
Stand by.
Okay. We are jumping into the DeLorean, activating the flux capacitor, accelerating to 88 miles an hour, and we are going back in time. Let's play Flashback.
Ding.
Oh, BJ Thomas.
Yep.
Not BJ Hunter.
No. Ding again.
Oh.
Do, do.
Tim Merriman with a double ding. during those highlights. What do you got?
1969.
1969. Charity, do you concur?
I do.
I will agree with the two of you. Let's find out. Mr. T.
I know my Brady Bunch, man.
Very nice. Marsha. Charity McCurdy, what stories are you following?
President-elect Trump met with President Biden at the White House for about 2 hours yesterday, and the president-elect continues to make key cabinet appointments with Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard making waves. And Coach Pop of the Spurs is expected to make a full recovery after suffering a mild stroke. We'll have the latest right now, traffic and weather.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and on Saturday. Today and tomorrow, highs in the upper 70s. Saturday, highs in the low 80s. It is 53 degrees in New Braunfels, Texas. 57 at Randolph Air Force Base, and 54 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 5:52.
San Antonio's first news. That's Mr. T. She's Charity McCurdy. Charlie Parker with Those Were the Days in the next hour. Charlie will join us in studio at 7:50. We'll get Parker's picks later this morning, college football picks for the weekend. Speaking of picks, Donald Trump picking nominees for his cabinet, including Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. And it got us to thinking, who would you like to see in Donald Trump's new cabinet when he takes office on January 20th, 2025? And Charity McCurdy, how do they get us that information?
The absolutely free iHeartRadio app. Launch it. You search the radio station 1200 WOAI. Look for that red circle, top right-hand corner of your screen. Hit it. 30-second countdown to sound off.
That's right. And here we go.
All right, RK. I tell you what, I'm thinking Dan Bongino, Secret Service, heading it up. Donald Trump would be safe, and probably the rest of the whole country would be safe. That man knows what's going on, and that's why he's the #1 podcast now. Get her done, brothers. Bye, y'all.
Very nice. And RK also said in our YouTube chat that RK himself would volunteer to be Secretary of Common Sense.
Oh, I like that.
So I'd like to see RK in the Trump cabinet.
Sure.
Secretary Harley's also.
Oh, yeah. Harley Secretary. I love it. I love it. All right. Let's head out to El Paso.
Hello, this is Andres, the El Paso kid. Really enjoy your show in the morning because it's right on point for the working class that have to be at work on time and early. Martha Stewart, House Department, something. Martha Stewart. Yeah.
Okay.
Martha Stewart. She'd be very, very. He ought to do, people who have a TV background.
Well,
like
Martha
him.
Stewart could be the White House chef.
There's a great documentary on Netflix featuring Martha Stewart and her background and the whole insider trading lying scandal. It's worth the watch.
I got to see it.
I'll have to check it out.
Mentioned it. I got to see it. Martha on Netflix.
Martha. All right, here we go. Here's another one.
Good morning, y'all. This is Dustin in San Antonio. I think we need to see Charity McCurdy as the press secretary. Wouldn't that be a blast?
There we go. There we go.
Like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You couldn't pay me enough.
No, that's a great
Oh,
call.
I think they could.
Oh, Charity, you could put those reporters in their place.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes. I think we need to talk to the Trump administration about this.
No.
Yeah, we'll get right on that.
Press
I couldn't
secretary.
do both. And if I had to choose between radio and that gig, I would choose radio.
You could do the show remotely. 'cause it's
Yeah.
only- you could
From
do
the
show
White House. I'm
remotely
sure
from the
they've
White
got.
House.
I'm sure they've got some sort of connection to hook up to us.
Because
Yeah.
most press availabilities aren't. The press secretary doesn't usually talk till like noon, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I
Plenty
have,
of time.
I have a feeling Alina Habba's got this one.
No,
Yeah.
you can put that John Decker in his place.
Yeah.
John Decker, you're out of order.
No way. He's never out of order.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. All right, here's another one.
Hey, good morning, Tim, Chris, and Charity. Hey, it's Rooster. Well, I was thinking about it, and I'd like to see Dolly Parton on that Trump's cabinet, simply so we could all have some eye candy, and we could all focus in on those big, beautiful red lips of hers. And maybe Jimmy Johnson, because he's the only one that seems to have any kind of sense when it comes to the losing Cowboys. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Rooster.
All right.
Dolly Parton on the cabinet. Oh, very nice.
Just because.
Yeah.
Just because.
Why not?
All right, here's one more.
Hey guys, Stephen from Lotto. I love the appointments that Trump is making to his cabinet and different positions. They're making liberal heads explode. A lot of them aren't political insiders that have been in the deep state for years and years. I love it. I love what Charity said, Mike Lindell, pillow fluffer. How about Greg Gutfeld as press secretary? That'd be something. Hey, what sound does the turkey's telephone make? Wing, wing.
Nice. Well, if Charity refuses to be press secretary, Greg Gutfeld is a possibility.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good possibility, though.
Now,
I
we
like
did
that.
have in the YouTube chat, Mag7189 nominates Alex Jones as press secretary.
Okay.
All right.
Can you imagine heads exploding
Oh, man.
if Alex Jones was the press secretary?
I think he could use the money.
Yeah, he
he
could.
could.
Yeah. Definitely use the money.
All right. Keep them coming. We'll play them on the air. We'll react to them. Coming up at 6:10, we'll talk about the meeting yesterday in the Oval Office between President-elect Donald Trump and President Joe Biden. It was pretty cordial from what we learned. We'll talk about that and more coming up. WOAI News Time 5:58.
We're back.
Kemper, adios. Tommy Miller, good morning. Rooster, Travis, Sickapolin, RK, very nice talk back.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Echo 5 Hotel. Connie Chambers, good morning. Steve
Good morning,
Baracco,
Connie.
The Rock. Nico LaHood, everybody.
Nico.
He needs to sell suspenders.
He
His
does.
own line.
Nico
is like an
suspenders.
autograph
Yeah.
of
Good morning, Trevin.
Nico LaHood suspenders.
Yeah.
My suspenders.
One says Nico, one says LaHood.
LaHood, yes.
There you go.
Trevin, welcome in. Tracy Bogert, welcome in from the Witness Protection Program. Hey, look who it is.
Plays on time.
Yeah, shocking.
Yep. All right, everybody. Here comes Charity McCurdy. Enjoy.
Six o'clock is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Thursday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, Trump's pick for U.S. Attorney General is creating controversy, and a health update on Coach Pop of the Spurs. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in mornings. Your weather forecast for this Thursday: sunny skies, a high of 78. Tonight's low near 50. Right now, 57 degrees. San Antonio Spurs coach Greg Popovich continues to recover from a mild stroke he suffered on November 2nd at the Frost Bank Center. Spurs general manager Brian Wright told reporters before the Wizards game yesterday that the team is hoping and praying for a complete recovery.
When we walk into the building each and every day, we feel that leadership, we feel that presence. And so not having him, there's clearly a void. And we miss him.
Wright says Mitch Johnson will be the interim head coach until further notice. No word on when the 75-year-old Pop will return. Well, more people have been named to some top positions in the incoming Trump administration. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has details.
President-elect Donald Trump announced Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz as his pick for Attorney General. A federal investigation into sex trafficking allegations against Gaetz was closed last year with no charges filed. Florida Senator Marco Rubio was also formally announced as the president's pick for Secretary of State. And while Rubio called it an honor, he also reacted to the Gaetz pick.
I like Matt a lot. I know him very well, and I'm confident that if the Senate confirms him, he would do a good job. And again, presidents are entitled to have the people that they want in these key positions to carry out the mandate that's been delivered to him.
The president-elect also named former Hawaii Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard as his pick for Director of National Intelligence. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
And while many Republican senators believe that Gaetz won't be confirmed, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham tells Fox's Hannity that he should be given the opportunity that all other appointees have been granted.
I think Matt Gaetz is very bright. I think he's qualified. He'll have a hearing and he'll have some tough questions to answer. But to every Republican, please follow a process to give President Trump the ability to pick the people he thinks can do the job.
Gaetz has been under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for allegations of sexual misconduct and obstruction of justice, which he denies. House Speaker Mike Johnson says that Gaetz resigned from his House position effective immediately. Senate Republicans voted in their new majority leader, selecting South Dakota Senator John Thune over Florida Senator Rick Scott and Texas Senator John Cornyn. House Speaker Johnson promised the GOP will use the majority to their advantage.
We talked for a short period of time about the agenda going forward and how we have to do this in a bicameral fashion. We need the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans to be in lockstep on exactly the same page, and we will be.
And Senator Ted Cruz's vote went to Senator Rick Scott of Florida. Thune will replace Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, who will still serve the final 2 years of his Senate term. And it comes as the GOP kept control of the U.S. House. President-elect Trump returned to the Oval Office for a post-election meeting with President Biden. Fox's Jared Halpern has more.
Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. A handshake between the president and the president-elect in the Oval Office, a little more than a week after President-elect Trump won re-election. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says President Biden and President-elect Trump met for nearly 2 hours in a cordial and substantive discussion.
You're going to hear me continuing to say this over and over again, the importance of having a smooth transition.
Asked about warnings President Biden made about democracy and the rule of law during a second Trump term, Jean-Pierre said what's important now is moving forward for the American people. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Governor Abbott's calling on a 2-year extension of the tuition freeze already in place for Texas colleges and universities. University leaders agreed to the tuition freeze for undergrads this school year if the state provides a $700 million boost lawmakers allocated in the last year's legislative session. Tuition and fees in Texas average just over $10,000 for in-state students, add in housing, books, and other costs, and it's north of $28,000. Well, McDonald's deadly E. coli outbreak has now sickened more than 100 people. Here's Fox's Carmen Roberts.
The number of people sickened in an E. coli outbreak linked to slivered onions on McDonald's Quarter Pounders climbs to 104, with 34 hospitalized. 1 person died in Colorado and 4 have developed a potentially life-threatening kidney disease complication. The CDC says 14 states reported cases between September 12th and October 21st. The agency says slivered onions were the likely source of the outbreak. Carmen Roberts, Fox News.
Bexar County's crisis mental health response team is now in action 24/7. The Specialized Multidisciplinary Alternate Response Team, or SMART, was first launched 4 years ago to answer mental health 911 calls. The idea is to help people with mental health problems without jailing them if possible. It is 6:06. The Spurs beat the Wizards last night at home. The voice of the Spurs, Bill Schoening, has details in today's Spurs Report.
San Antonio's First News. Charity McCurdy, Mr. T, Tim Merriman. I'm Chris Duell. Charlie Parker with Those Were the Days at 6:48. He'll also join us in studio at 7:50 for Parker's Picks and more. Andrew Zimmel and EJ Pacheco doing the heavy lifting, flying the Millennium Falcon. Andrew directing our YouTube broadcast. We're streaming live video. Go to YouTube, search for 1200 WOAI. You can watch the show, and there's a live chat you can participate in if you choose. Coming up at 6:20, we'll talk about what we know about Spurs coach Greg Popovich's mild stroke. Charlie Parker, as I mentioned, 6:48. Those were the days. At 6:40, we'll dive into Donald Trump's choice of Matt Gaetz as Attorney General and Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. We're also hearing your picks for Donald Trump's cabinet on the Talkback feature. And coming up, we will react and talk about what we saw and learned yesterday as President-elect Trump met with President Joe Biden in the Oval Office. But first, your traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and on Saturday. Highs in the upper 70s today and tomorrow. Low 80s on Saturday. It is 53 degrees in Alamo Heights, 53 in Leon Valley, and 52 now here at Stone Oak. WOAI News Time is 6:12.
San Antonio's First News. Well, yesterday in the Oval Office at the White House, President-elect Donald Trump met with President Joe Biden. And by all accounts, it was pretty friendly. Here's President-elect Donald Trump.
Thank you very much. And politics is tough. And it's, in many cases, not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today. And I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get. And I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
It is a nice world today. Very gracious comments by President-elect Trump.
And it's pretty much what you expect in front of the cameras, very cordial. You wouldn't think the two have said the things that they have said about each other during the long and grueling campaign. But it appeared that President-elect Trump went out of his way to show respect for the current commander-in-chief. So hopefully they did have a very good, productive meeting, and that's a sign of good things to come.
Yeah, I hope that's a sign of good things to come. But I want to know what happened in the other, they were there together for 2 hours. I would really love to know what they talked about. You don't have to, if it's, top secret, don't tell me. But really, what did you do for 2 hours? I mean, it was so just odd to see them so nice to each other after the campaign and everything against each other. I just thought it was refreshing is a good way to put it.
Yeah. After so much discord, politically among the candidates themselves, among the two parties, among the American people, to see these guys sit down. I totally agree with Mr. T, Charity. It was refreshing to see, cordiality, people respecting one another.
Yeah, and President-elect Trump revealed to the New York Post that he and Biden did discuss two very important issues that they have differed on in the past, the war in Ukraine and also the ongoing war in the Middle East. Trump apparently wanted Biden's take on it, and he described the conversation and Biden as being very gracious.
And I love the mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
It's what this country needs right now, and I hope that we learn from this.
Yeah, so often we've seen ex-presidents get together, at a state funeral or something like that. And you've got ex-presidents like George W. Bush, Barack Obama. Now you're going to add Biden to that list, Bill Clinton. And Donald Trump has kind of seemed out of that mix.
Yes.
I would hope that moving forward, that ex-presidents, including Donald Trump, can get along with one another. We shall see. Lots more coming up. WOAI News Time, 6:15. Lots of Spurs news to report. We'll dive into that coming up. First, Charity McCurdy, what stories are you following?
Florida Republican Matt Gaetz has resigned from Congress now that he's been nominated by President-elect Trump to be the U.S. Attorney General. Republicans have the trifecta. In addition to the White House and Senate, they've secured control of the U.S. House. And Governor Greg Abbott is calling for a 2-year extension of the tuition freeze already in place for Texas colleges and universities. We'll have more right now, traffic and weather.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and on Saturday. Highs in the upper 70s today and tomorrow. And then on Saturday, highs in the low 80s. It is 52 degrees in China Grove, 53 at Randolph Air Force Base, and 52 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 621.
Pivots, faces up, long two. Shot is good for Victor Wembanyama. 50 points for Victor Wembanyama, a career high.
Bill Schoening, voice of the San Antonio Spurs, as heard right here on 1200 WOAI last night as the Spurs defeat the Washington Wizards 139-130. 50 points for Victor Wembanyama, as Bill said, a career high. He was 8 of 16 from three-point country, hit a career best 8 3-point shots. Charity McCurdy, he's just going to keep getting better.
It really looks like it. The confidence is there. He continues to show improvement. I'm wondering if he's going to end up breaking the franchise record for the number of points. I think he's the 8th player in franchise history to score 50 points. Wembanyama, David Robinson currently holds that record with 71 points.
Wow.
I think he can do it.
Yeah, that would be something else if he did that. And I'm just wondering if he heard the same news that we heard before that game about Coach Pop and his mild stroke, and that didn't just, fire him up a little bit.
It's possible. The Spurs kept that information under wraps, as Charity has been reporting. Pop, we now know that it was a stroke, that he suffered a mild stroke 90 minutes before the game on November 2nd against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And thank God, Charity, by all reports and according to the Spurs, a mild stroke, and he is expected to make a full recovery.
Yeah, in the case of a mild stroke, it doesn't damage the brain cells or cause any kind of permanent disability. That's how it differs from a regular stroke. So Pop is currently undergoing rehabilitation. And again, like you said, expected to make a full recovery, but we don't yet have a timeline for his return, but I'm sure that's what's motivating him. I think Coach Pop still has a lot of gas in the tank, and he wants to see another Spurs championship with Victor Wembanyama.
And I just know that the rehab from a stroke takes a long time. My mom had one about 5 years ago, and she's still rehabbing, but hers was a major stroke, so it wasn't a mild one. It was a major one. So it's tough. It's a tough road.
Yeah, and we hope Pop makes it back, on his timetable in due time. We hope he's on that sideline again sometime soon for the Spurs. Meanwhile, with that win, Spurs go to 6-6. And when Charlie Parker was in here, I think on Tuesday, he was telling us, the Spurs didn't win their 6th game until I think January of last year. So, and Charity, if you can hang around 500, which is where they are right now at 6-6, you will be in a position in all probability to either get directly into the playoffs or into that play-in tournament.
I can see it happening. I'm like 90% chance confident that they are going to make the playoffs this year. I just think all the ingredients are there.
Well, they've added some pieces they didn't have last year, and Victor has aged another year of NBA. I mean, that's NBA aging. I mean, he's still young. He's still 20, but he's got a year under him now. So he's going to get better and better and better.
The future is looking so bright for the San Antonio Spurs. Charity has all the big stories you need to know at the bottom of the hour. 6:40, we'll dive into what we learned yesterday about Trump's picks for Attorney General and Director of National Intelligence. Charlie Parker with Those Were the Days at 6:48. WOAI News Time, 6:25.
And we're back.
Hey, everybody. Connie, I still got to send you those photos, and I was thinking about doing it yesterday from OpelkaCon, and you had texted me your number, but it's deep into my texts. So text me one more time, and I'll try to do that today. I know you've been wanting those photos, and I've been wanting to send them to you. So text me one more time, and I'll send them to you. RK, Travis, Tim, Trevin, Tracy Bogert. And I apologize it took me so long. It's been a strange
trip.
Couple of weeks.
It's been a long, strange trip.
Since OpelkaCon.
Yes, it has. Wow, she called you sir. Wow.
Nobody calls me sir.
Wow. Oh, that's what I was going to do. Hang on, guys. We'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry. You had to listen to something. I know. Doo-doo, boo-doo. Woo! No, they can hear it on the air. We just can't hear it. It's the strangest system ever. Plus, I didn't see that because that adds 30 seconds to the break.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, because now we're late. See? Oh, I'll get it. Oh, shit, I didn't change Rory's topic. Fuck. I'm going to go fix that. I'll be back.
All right.
talking about the meeting first.
.31 is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Thursday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, Trump announces more key staff picks and the latest on Coach Pop's healthcare. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in mornings right now. Your weather forecast for this Thursday: sunny skies, a high in the upper 70s. Tonight's low near 50. Right now, 53 degrees. President-elect Trump has chosen far-right Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to lead the Department of Justice, and he resigned from Congress immediately. Fox's Aisha Hasni has more.
Speaker Mike Johnson says when he had a conversation with Gaetz, Gaetz's reasoning was to basically give Florida Governor Ron DeSantis plenty of time to hold a special election so they don't threaten the majority in the House.
If we start the clock now, if you do the math, we may be able to fill that seat as early as January 3rd when we take the new oath of office for the new Congress. So Matt would have done us a great service by making that decision as he did on the fly. And so we're grateful for that.
But that does not mean that Gaetz has a clear path to Senate confirmation. Mixed reaction in the upper chamber, where Senator Tommy Tuberville is supportive, while Senator Kramer calls it a long shot, and Senator Murkowski says he is not a serious candidate.
The now former congressman was once investigated for sex trafficking by the Justice Department and was under scrutiny by the House Ethics Committee for sexual misconduct. While critics worry that Trump's on a so-called revenge tour by appointing loyalists to his administration, RNC co-chair Lara Trump has more on that idea, speaking to Fox's Hannity.
Donald Trump said, "My revenge will be success, and success will bring us together and unify us."
Trump also has an advantage of having a Republican majority in the House and Senate, paving the way for his agenda to be passed more easily. Republicans elected South Dakota's John Thune as the new Senate Majority Leader, opting not to go with Florida's Rick Scott or John Cornyn of Texas. Benji Heyer has details.
He replaces Senator Mitch McConnell, who's held the top leadership post among Republicans for the past 17 years. It's a major blow for Rick Scott, the man endorsed by Donald Trump's inner circle, including Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Thune has crossed swords with Trump before, when he stood up to the then president's attempts to overturn the 2020 election result, but they've since tried to mend fences. Benji Heyer, Washington.
A man employed overseas by the U.S. government is accused of leaking Israel's retaliation plans against Iran is in custody. The Justice Department has charged Asif Rahman for willfully retaining and transmitting national defense information. He was arrested in Cambodia and is expected to appear in court in Guam. The DOJ has requested he be moved to Virginia to stand trial. The Spurs are confirming that head coach Greg Popovich suffered a mild stroke nearly 2 weeks ago. It happened at the Frost Bank Center on November 2nd, the day the Spurs welcomed the Timberwolves. Spurs general manager Brian Wright spoke to the press prior to the team's win over the Wizards.
You know, it takes a village, and we're all committed to that. But most importantly, we're committed to making sure that he has everything he needs and giving him the time and space to continue to recover. And we'll look forward to getting him back.
And there's no word on when Pop will return, but he is expected to make a full recovery. The Spurs won last night's game, 139-130. Victor Wembanyama had a career-high 50 points. The San Antonio Missions baseball team wants to buy some land owned by the San Antonio ISD for a new $160 million downtown stadium, but the district is not making it easy. Eric Lycum has more.
26 minutes.
The San Antonio School District has published a list of 5 conditions to be met for a 2.3-acre parking lot on Cameron Street. They include $45 million for a new school building, a new parking garage, annual tributes to the district, and guaranteed affordable housing to be built. The team had hoped to buy the land for market value, but the district says it needs it. If the team refuses, the district says it could open the sale to someone else and or use its power of eminent domain to buy nearby property that would have been part of the stadium complex.
Wow.
A public meeting is scheduled for November 18th.
26 would have
Eric
been
Lycum,
mind-blowing.
News Radio
That would have
1200 WOAI.
President-elect Trump is not the only one who wants to make America healthy again. Texas state lawmakers are also talking about ways to combat an epidemic of chronic diseases that affect the state's future.
We pay for Medicaid, but we do not regulate the type of food in SNAP or school lunches. I think some of these questions have to be asked.
State Senator Lois Kolkhorst held a hearing on the issues this week. One of the bills filed for the upcoming session would get additives and preservatives out of free and reduce price school lunches. The social media platform X is seeing a massive user exodus. One day after the presidential election, over 115,000 users deactivated their account, the biggest loss in users since Elon Musk bought the platform in 2022. Meanwhile, alternative text-based social media apps are reporting an influx of users. It is 6:37. Traffic and weather together in a minute, but first, check of your money and the world of business. Family Donahoe is live at the Bloomberg News Desk.
Well, I'm not going to Taco Palenque anymore because they won't let me drink beer before 11 and carry my gun. Oh, damn. Leslie's sitting in his car.
Shocker.
Leslie's sitting in his car.
Yeah.
We've got to listen for those were the days.
Thanks, Courtney. News at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy. Here's traffic and weather.
San Antonio's first news. Charity McCurdy, Mr. T, Tim Merriman. I'm Chris Duell. Charlie Parker coming right up with Those Were the Days at 6:48. Well, Donald Trump made headlines once again yesterday as we learned that Florida congressman, and he has since resigned, Matt Gaetz, will be his choice for attorney general, and former Hawaii congressman and U.S. Army Reserve officer Tulsi Gabbard selected for director of national intelligence. Here's Secretary of State designate Marco Rubio talking about Matt Gaetz.
I like Matt a lot. I know him very well, and I'm confident that if the Senate confirms him, he would do a good job.
That's the big question, Charity. If the Senate confirms him, will any Republicans not vote to confirm Matt Gaetz?
Yeah, and those Republicans in the Senate, I'm sure, will be giving pause while maybe there are some that are expressing some skepticism about Gaetz being qualified for that job as the nation's chief law enforcement officer in the Justice Department. I'm sure they're worried about their own political futures going against Trump. But, for Gaetz, I think it's going to be a rocky confirmation hearing. As you know, he's been under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for allegations of sexual misconduct, and he's been accused of obstruction of justice, which Gaetz has denied. But you wonder if the House Ethics Committee will release that report, even though Gaetz has since resigned from his House position effective immediately. This probe won't go forward, but there's still that report that the House Ethics Committee has, and may kind of provide some damning testimony as far as his confirmation hearings go.
Yeah, I think like you, Charity, I think these are confirmation hearings for, at least for Matt Gaetz, is going to be very contentious. And I think that report needs to be released, because why would you spend all this time and our money to do this investigation and not tell us what happened?
You make a great point, but you can argue now that it was a Congress investigation, and that now that he stepped down from Congress, that investigation ends. Social media just blew up yesterday, and I had forgotten about, but I sure saw it yesterday, that moment when House Speaker Kevin McCarthy went after Matt Gaetz. As we know, Matt Gaetz was one of the congressmen really working for the ouster of Kevin McCarthy when he was House Speaker. When he went on a rant about Matt Gaetz, on the floor of Congress, he cited the allegations about Matt Gaetz and the improprieties with an underage girl.
I just, wondering, okay, say Matt Gaetz does not get confirmation in the Senate. So this just goes away for him. Is this essentially a lifeline? Was he given the nomination by President-elect Trump, with Trump knowing there was a strong likelihood he may not be confirmed in the Senate?
That's a good point. And I'm lost on this, but so the Congress were the only people looking into these allegations. The police weren't looking into it as a crime. It was just the Congress looking into it.
You would think the police would. I don't know the answer to that question. But back to what Charity brought up about a lifeline for Matt Gaetz. I've seen some characterizing this as a trial balloon by Donald Trump, just to see how far he could get people. Not it's like if the Senate will confirm Matt Gaetz,
they'll confirm anybody.
Yes. So it could also be, Donald Trump is big on loyalty. This could be a major test of loyalty among those in the Senate.
Yeah, and we're getting a little bit of not at the same extent, but as far as the nomination of former Representative Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, there are some still questioning, like Matt Gaetz, is she qualified for the job? Obviously, she's been accused of amplifying Russian propaganda in the past, and she's never worked in the intelligence world or served on a congressional intelligence committee. So again, it seems like loyalty is trumping qualifications when it comes to the president-elect's picks.
I like what you did with the trumping.
Yeah, you see that there? Yeah.
Nice.
And the Tulsi Gabbard, I'm wondering in her confirmation, the fact that she switched parties will have anything to do with people that are trying to confirm her.
There are so many things to consider, and all of them will be considered certainly in these nominations, in these vetting investigations, and certainly in testimony. And of course, each of these nominees, in this case, Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard, would have to testify before the Senate and ask a lot of questions. So it's going to be very fascinating to see how it plays out. Coming up, Charlie Parker with Those Were the Days. And then we're going to hear your talkbacks. Who would you like Donald Trump to add to his cabinet? We're having a little bit of fun with this, but you can be serious as well. Your talkbacks coming up. WOAI News Time, 6:45.
And we're back.
Woohoo!
Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Man, they're using her a lot today.
Interesting. Can you, one sec?
President-elect Trump continues to make his cabinet selections with Republicans in control of the White House, Senate, and House. An unprecedented shakeup at the Pentagon is said to be in the works, and the Bexar County Crisis Mental Health Response Team is now available 24/7. We'll have the details right now, traffic and weather.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and on Saturday. Today and tomorrow, highs in the upper 70s. Saturday in the low 80s. It is 53 degrees in Leon Valley, 53 at Lackland Air Force Base, 52 here at the Radio Ranch. WOAI News Time, 6:53.
San Antonio's first news, that's Mr. T, Tim Merriman. She's Charity McCurdy. Our thanks to Charlie Parker for those were the days. He'll be in studio in the next hour. In fact, a little less than an hour from now at 7:50, Charlie will be on board. We'll get Parker's picks for the weekend and more. I'm Chris Duell. We have been asking you all morning in the aftermath of Donald Trump naming Matt Gaetz as his choice for Attorney General and Tulsi Gabbard as his choice for Director of National Intelligence. Who would you like to see serve in the Trump cabinet? Where and why? Charity McCurdy, how do they get us that information?
The free iHeartRadio app. Once you launch it, you search 1200 WOAI. Look for that red circle, top right-hand corner of your screen. Hit it. 30-second countdown to sound off.
And we're nationwide. Let's head up north.
Good morning. This is Pat from Wyoming. 21.4 degrees this morning. A nice brisk day. I would like to see Carrie Lake in the cabinet. And I am sitting here in front of my gas fireplace enjoying a nice cup of Black Rifle coffee. And how about Carrie Lockie for press secretary?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, enjoy.
Nice.
Bye.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
21 degrees in Wyoming this morning.
No thanks. That thing just makes my coffee cold hearing that.
Carrie Lake, I think you could see that.
Yeah.
I think you could see him, Donald Trump, find a place for Carrie Lake.
And Carrie Lockie for press secretary.
That would be cool.
She would win them over. They couldn't be mean to her. There's no way.
They could not.
Yeah.
They could not. All right, here's another one.
Yeah, this is Sam. How about we get Ted Nugent in the Department of Kicking Ass and Taking Down Names? He'd be a good pick. Y'all have a good morning. Bye.
That would be a good new department to establish. Ted Nugent would be very good.
Uncle Ted can do anything. All right, here's another one.
I am hyped about the House and the Senate being in control by Republicans. I also love all the cabinet positions that Trump has selected so far. I recommend he selects Kiefer Sutherland for press secretary. Have you seen the TV series Designated Survivor?
Kiefer Sutherland.
Okay.
Nice.
I guess. All right, here's another one.
Good morning on this chilly Thursday. This is Kemper. I'm a huge Dolly Parton fan. I think that Dolly's people could really help the White House. Surely they could oversee Trump's Twitter feed, give him some pointers on staying strong and opinionated, forceful, but do it with dignity and style and grace like Dolly does. Just saying, love you guys. Stay warm.
We're trying.
Yeah. Dolly Parton, she does it all. Let's see. Country Western.
Yep.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Dallas Cowboy cheerleader uniform.
Oh, yeah.
So why shouldn't she be in the Trump cabinet?
I could see it.
I could see it too. All right, here's another one.
Good morning. It's the storyteller. I think old Stephen from Laddle should be the Secretary of Education. Rooster should probably run the transportation department. IH-35 would finally get fixed. And old Kemper, I think she should be the Secretary of Interior Design. I don't even know what that is, but I'm sure she would do good. And finally, Charlie Parker as the press secretary. That I'd love to see. Have a good day. Tell old Kemper I said hello.
Now, all right, now Charlie Parker as press secretary, that would make for some lively press availabilities. That could be very, very interesting.
I think they'd be record short
Yes.
media press
No questions.
conferences. Yeah. I'm going to say what I have to say, and then we're done. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, here's another one.
Good morning, WOAI gang. This is the wheelchair warrior from New Braunfels. I would personally like to serve as the director of the VA, since I could straighten them out. I've been trying to straighten them out for 40 years now, but I haven't been able to accomplish it because I don't have the rank. But I would definitely clean up the VA system and make it productive again for our veterans.
Wow.
Amen to that. And hopefully that will become a priority in this Trump administration. I mean, we've heard so many horror stories and just inconveniences that veterans have to go through to get the care that they have earned and they deserved, and this country should absolutely ensure that they receive. So that was absolutely wheelchair warrior. I hope that comes to pass in this administration.
Amen.
I would nominate him. All right, we got one more. Here it comes.
Hey, good morning, WOEI guys. Great listening to you. Hey, so I've had a security clearance since 1987, and the level that Tulsi Gabbard's going to be at, she's going to be doing things like resourcing operations. It's more strategic, so strategic end ways and means. So how do things get done? That's something certainly she can do. She didn't have to be a 30-year intelligence professional to do that.
Okay.
And that is a lot of the controversy. There's a lot more controversy swirling around Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, but we're certainly hearing things, about Tulsi Gabbard, Charity, the secret journey she made to Syria, supporting Bashir al-Assad, the Syrian leader who a lot of people see as, kind of a butcher and a dictator, and being somewhat pro-Russia and pro-Putin. So I'm sure all those questions will be asked in the Senate hearings.
Yeah, and I'm sure she's going to be more than prepared to answer them. I expect smoother sailing for Gabbard as compared to Matt Gaetz.
It's going to be fascinating on Matt Gaetz. We'll continue to track that. Coming up at 7:10 in a segment we call Wait Till You Hear This, a milestone night for Victor Wembanyama as he scores 50 points last night. We'll hear his post-game comments. Charity McCurdy has everything you need to know right now on this 14th day of November, because WOAI News Time is 7 o'clock.
Seven o'clock is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Thursday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, Trump's pick for U.S. Attorney General creates controversy, and a health update on Coach Pop. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes and mornings. Your weather forecast for this Thursday: sunny skies, a high in the upper 70s. Tonight's low near 50. Right now, 53 degrees. Well, the Spurs are confirming head coach Greg Popovich suffered a mild stroke nearly 2 weeks ago. It happened at the Frost Bank Center on November 2nd, the day the Spurs welcomed the Minnesota Timberwolves. Spurs general manager Brian Wright spoke to the press prior to the team's win over the Wizards yesterday.
When we walk into the building each and every day, we feel that leadership, we feel that presence. And so not having him, there's clearly a void. and we miss him.
There's no word on when Pop will return, but he is expected to make a full recovery. More people have been named to some top positions in the incoming Trump administration. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has more.
President-elect Donald Trump announced Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz as his pick for Attorney General. A federal investigation into sex trafficking allegations against Gaetz was closed last year with no charges filed. Florida Senator Marco Rubio was also formally announced as the president's pick for Secretary of State. And while Rubio called it an honor, he also reacted to the Gaetz pick.
I like Matt a lot. I know him very well, and I'm confident that if the Senate confirms him, he would do a good job. And again, presidents are entitled to have the people that they want in these key positions to carry out the mandate that's been delivered to him.
The president-elect also named former Hawaii Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard as his pick for Director of National Intelligence. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
While many Republican senators believe that Gaetz won't be confirmed, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham tells Fox's Hannity he should be given the opportunity that all other appointees have been granted.
I think Matt Gaetz is very bright. I think he's qualified. He'll have a hearing and he'll have some tough questions to answer. But to every Republican, please follow a process to give President Trump the ability to pick the people he thinks can do the job.
Gaetz has been under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for allegations of sexual misconduct and obstruction of justice, which he denies. House Speaker Mike Johnson says that Gaetz resigned from his House position effective immediately. Senate Republicans voted in their new majority leader, selecting South Dakota Senator John Thune over Florida Senator Rick Scott and Texas Senator John Cornyn. House Speaker Johnson promised the GOP will use the majority to their advantage.
We talked for a short period of time about the agenda going forward and how we have to do this in a bicameral fashion. We need the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans to be in lockstep on exactly the same page, and we will be.
And Senator Ted Cruz's vote went to Senator Rick Scott. Thune will replace Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, who will still serve the final 2 years of his Senate term. And it comes as House Republicans nominated Speaker Johnson to retain the gavel for another 2 years. Republicans also voted Steve Scalise as House Majority Leader as they maintain control of the lower chamber. Well, President-elect Trump returned to the Oval Office for a post-election meeting with President Biden. Here's Fox's Jared Halpern.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
A handshake between the president and the president-elect in the Oval Office a little more than a week after President-elect Trump won re-election. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says President Biden and President-elect Trump met for nearly 2 hours in a cordial and substantive discussion.
You're going to hear me continuing to say this over and over again, the importance of having a smooth transition.
Asked about warnings President Biden made about democracy and the rule of law during a second Trump term, Jean-Pierre said what's important now is moving forward for the American people. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Governor Abbott's calling on a 2-year extension of the tuition freeze already in place for Texas colleges and universities. University leaders agreed to the tuition freeze for undergrads this school year if the state provides a $700 million boost lawmakers allocated in last year's legislative session. Tuition and fees in Texas averaged just over $10,000 for in-state students. Add in housing, books, and other costs, and it's north of $28,000. The San Antonio Missions baseball team wants to buy some land owned by the SAISD for a new $160 million downtown stadium, but the district is not making it easy. Eric Lycombe has details.
The San Antonio School District has published a list of 5 conditions to be met for a 2.3-acre parking lot on Cameron Street. They include $45 million for a new school building, a new parking garage, annual tributes to the district, and guaranteed affordable housing to be built. The team had hoped to buy the land for market value, but the district says it needs it. If the team refuses, the district says it could open the sale to someone else and or use its power of eminent domain to buy nearby property that would have been part of the stadium complex. A public meeting is scheduled for November 18th. Eric Lycombe, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
It is 7:06. The Spurs beat the Washington Wizards last night at home. The voice of the Spurs, Bill Schoening, who has details in today's Spurs Insider, brought to you by Credit Human. All right, thanks, Bill. Today's Spurs Insider brought to you by Credit Human. News at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy. Traffic and weather coming up.
San Antonio's first news, big 7 o'clock hour is upon us. Charlie Parker will join us at 7:50, among other things. He'll bring us Parker's picks for the college football weekend. Lots of coverage on the new Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, from national correspondent Rory O'Neill. That'll be at 7:40. At 7:20, we'll talk about the nominee for Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth. He has said previously he does not support women in combat. Might that policy be rolled back? And coming right up on a segment we call Wait Till You Hear This. Big night last night for Victor Wembanyama, scoring 50 points for the first time in his NBA career. We'll hear his post-game comments in a flash. But first, your traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Highs in the upper 70s today and tomorrow. Low 80s on Saturday. 53 degrees in Lavernia, Texas. 52 in China Grove and 52 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 7:11.
San Antonio's first news. Charlie Parker is in the building. We see Charlie walking around out there.
Yes.
Big night last night. By the way, Charlie at 7:50. Big night last night for the San Antonio Spurs. On the day and the night that the team announced that Coach Greg Popovich has been out since November 2nd when he suffered a mild stroke. Very few people in the city knew why Greg Popovich had been missing. We found out yesterday. We've been talking about it. Charity's been reporting on it. throughout the morning. So last night at the Frost Bank Center, the Spurs get a win over the Washington Wizards, 139-130. They get to 500 at 6-6. But the big story, Victor Wembanyama scores 50 points. He hits 8 3-point shots. And on our segment called Wait Till You Hear This, here is Victor Wembanyama's post-game comments.
Victor, when do you start to realize on a night like tonight that you're having a special kind of night?
You know, I would love to tell you it's you wake up a certain way or you feel really smooth during warm-ups, but it's, you know, at the end of the day, at NBA games, we got one games every other day, so every time we struggle to warm up, we have pain, you know, we sweat, we bleed on the court, so it's really a minute-to-minute thing. It's a constant 48 minutes effort.
Congrats on the win. We'll see you on Friday.
See you on Friday. Really happy to see people around here because I know you guys are going to be cheering for us for the tournament next game here against the Lakers. Go Spurs, go!
Go Spurs, go. Victor Wembanyama in his second season, and he's still 20 years old. He is yet to turn 21. He will turn 21, by the way, on January 4th. That'll be his 21st birthday. And we mentioned this earlier, Charity. He's still going to get better and better and better.
Confidence is key. The focus is there. It's amazing how he's just able to nail off those threes. He had a career best 8 3-pointers and that career high 50 points. It's just amazing what he has been able to accomplish. It just seems like every time he hits the court, some sort of new record is made, but all the ingredients are there. We have the addition of Chris Paul, Devin Vassell is back. All that's missing is Coach Pop, and I think they're maybe fueled to perform their best in honor of him.
Yeah, look, he's 7'4". He's not supposed to be able to shoot 3-pointers like that. He's not supposed to be able to move with the ball like he does. He's not supposed to be doing anything that he does so well. It's just like you said, it's going to get better, and if you build the right people around him, it'll stay good for a long time and maybe roll off some championships.
Yes, and I know this is just a 12-game snapshot. It's an 82-game season. They've just played 12, but this little sample size at 6-6, if they can stay around the 500 mark, that would be, in all probability, good enough to get into the playoffs. I'd love to see this team get into the playoffs and maybe make some noise, win a series or two.
I think this is our year. I think the drought is going to be over.
I agree. Now, they've got this in-season tournament coming up starting Friday. That's okay. If they do good in that, that's all right, but I'd rather see them in the real playoffs.
Yes, but if they win the in-season tournament, do we get a river parade? We're going to have to explore that.
If Wemby wants it, Wemby gets it.
That's true.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's true, yes. Okay, I'll agree with that.
That's the answer to the question. Lots more coming up. We will get you caught up on headlines, traffic, and weather. And the new defense secretary, if confirmed, he's not a big fan of women in combat. Could that change among American service members? We'll talk about that coming up. WOAI News Time 7:15.
We're back. Uh-oh. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. That's it. It's Bobby Kennedy. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Can't really tell on TV. Plus, it's just a head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the ban on women was lifted in 2013. Women account for 17.5% of the Defense Department's active duty force.
Huh. Stand by.
Women in combat. Good idea? Bad idea? Will the new defense secretary, if confirmed, and he should be, Pete Hegseth, want to change things? We'll talk about that coming up. But first, Charity McCurdy, what stories are you following?
President-elect Donald Trump is nominating Florida Republican Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, who's resigning from Congress. South Dakota's John Thune is the new leader of Senate Republicans, and the SAISG board is set to discuss the possible sale of land for a new Mission Stadium. We'll have details right now, traffic and weather.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and on Saturday. Highs in the upper 70s today and tomorrow, low 80s on Saturday. It is 53 degrees in Alamo Heights, 53 at the Pearl, 52 right here at the Radio Ranch. WOAI News Time 720.
San Antonio's first news. Normally at this time, we check in with Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast. But fear not, he will be with us a little bit later this morning. In fact, in just about an hour at 8:20, Mike Opelka will join us. Don't forget, Charlie Parker at 7:50. He'll be in studio. Parker's picks for the weekend and more. 7:40, national correspondent Rory O'Neill going to tell us more about South Dakota Senator John Thune, who is poised to become the new Senate Majority Leader for the Republicans. And lots of talk lately about these cabinet nominees by Donald Trump, and his defense secretary designate is very, very interesting. Pete Hegseth, who has spent a lot of time on Fox News lately. He is a 48-year-old decorated military veteran. He has served in Afghanistan. He has served in Iraq, but he has made it clear he is no fan of women in combat roles. He was on a recent podcast speaking about his new book called The War on Warriors, and he said, quote, "I'm straight up saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, it hasn't made us more lethal, and it has made fighting more complicated." Now, Charity, he has not said that he would roll back the policy on having women in combat units, which that the ban on that was lifted in 2013. But it does make you wonder if this debate will come up once again.
That's a head scratcher to me, because on the surface, I think, okay, if the women can meet the physical requirements, this is what they want to do, serve their country in combat, why not? I mean, they've proven themselves physically, mentally, they're morally capable of leading, executing combat style operations. There's the general belief, I think, that mixed gender force keeps the military strong. And I mean, we're talking about a time when military forces are dealing with falling retention and recruitment rates. So you would think you'd want to widen the pool of candidates, not shrink it.
Yeah, if you're willing to give up your life and fight for your country, does it matter if you're a man or a woman? And I want to know just how does it make fighting more complicated? I don't understand that.
Well, I don't know specifically what he's referring to, but he could be referring to just the gender fact, the fact that if it's an all male unit, then there's a certain way of fighting that traditionally has been done for generations and generations in any workplace. If it's mixed, If it's men and women, you have to make allowances for that, for gender, that might, you could argue, that might make things less streamlined as it is for an all-male fighting force. I'm not saying that's my point of view, but I can see, and I have heard that line of argument made.
And, I've heard, men in some situations may feel the need to protect women in their combat units. There's also the issue that may arise of harassment or perhaps resentment of the presence of women. And then there's the issue of potential abuse by the enemy. I mean, you have both male and female prisoners that are at risk of torture or even rape, but that's more likely to happen to women.
To go back to, they've proven themselves in training. They've done all the training that they could possibly do. Now, I can see, what about fighter pilots? A woman could be a fighter pilot just like a man could be a fighter pilot,
right.
and they could probably do a pretty good job about it. And I just wonder, and Charity mentioned, the problem of recruiting soldiers now and retaining soldiers now. Do we really want to turn people that are willing to do this away?
That's a great question. Currently, women account for roughly 17.5% of the Defense Department's active duty fighting force. As far as fighter pilots go, there are some amazing women fighter pilots, as we know. And before there were women fighter pilots, when that was being discussed, the Israeli women fighter pilots have proved over the years, as Americans now have, that they are as capable as men in that role.
Well, we'll see where this, if this turns into a debate. Hopefully it's just an opinion and this is not going to turn into policy. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, he would know because he spent some time in combat. He would know how fighting is. So he has a better perspective than I do because I've never spent any time in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And there are already, though, there's a lot of reporting of women who are currently serving in the military, serving in combat roles, who are concerned about these comments and are concerned that there might be a change in policy, of course. And we want to underscore there has not been, Pete Hegseth has not said or indicated that he would change that policy. Going to be very, very interesting. I'm sure he will be questioned about that during his Senate confirmation hearings. Lots more coming up, including Charlie Parker at 7:50, national correspondent Rory O'Neill coming up at 7:40 with the latest on who will be the new Senate Majority Leader, John Thune of South Dakota. WOAI News Time, 7:25.
And we're back.
7:30 is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Thursday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, Trump announces more key staff picks and the latest on Coach Pop's health scare. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in the mornings. Your weather forecast for this Thursday: sunny skies, a high of 78. Tonight's low near 50. Right now, 52 degrees. President-elect Trump has chosen far-right Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to lead the Department of Justice, and he resigned from Congress immediately. Fox's Aisha Hasni has more.
Speaker Mike Johnson says when he had a conversation with Gaetz, Gaetz's reasoning was to basically give Florida Governor Ron DeSantis plenty of time to hold a special election so they don't threaten the majority in the House.
If we start the clock now, if you do the math, we may be able to fill that seat as early as January 3rd when we take the new oath of office for the new Congress. So Matt would have done us a great service by making that decision as he did on the fly. And so we're grateful for that.
But that does not mean that Gaetz has a clear path to Senate confirmation. Mixed reaction in the upper chamber, where Senator Tommy Tuberville is supportive, while Senator Kramer calls it a long shot, and Senator Murkowski says he is not a serious candidate.
Gaetz was once investigated for sex trafficking by the Justice Department and was under scrutiny by the House Ethics Committee for sexual misconduct. While critics worried that Trump's on a so-called revenge tour by appointing loyalists to his administration, RNC co-chair Laura Trump sounded off about that on Fox's Hannity.
Donald Trump said, "My revenge will be success, and success will bring us together and unify us."
Trump also has an advantage of having Republican majority in the House and the Senate, paving the way for his agenda to be passed more easily. Republicans elected South Dakota's John Thune as a new Senate Majority Leader, opting not to go with Florida's Rick Scott or John Cornyn of Texas. Benji Heyer has details.
He replaces Senator Mitch McConnell, who's held the top leadership post among Republicans for the past 17 years. It's a major blow for Rick Scott, the man endorsed by Donald Trump's inner circle, including Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Thune has crossed swords with Trump before, when he stood up to the then president's attempts to overturn the 2020 election result, but they've since tried to mend fences. Benji Heyer, Washington.
The San Antonio ISD Board meets next Monday to discuss what to do with the piece of land where the San Antonio Missions want to build a baseball stadium. The district laid out 5 conditions for selling the parking lot on Cameron Street. They include funding a new school and parking garage, annual payments to the district, and building affordable housing in the district. If its demands are not met, district officials may sell the land to a higher bidder instead of to the Missions and their partners. Well, Coach Pop of the Spurs is sidelined until further notice. Eric Lycom has the latest.
The Spurs announced Coach Greg Popovich suffered a mild stroke at the Frost Bank Center on November 2nd. Coach Mitch Johnson has taken over, and the San Antonio Express News reports the organization expects that to be the case into next year.
But most importantly, we're committed to making sure that he has everything he needs and giving him the time and space to continue to recover, and we'll look forward to getting him back.
Spurs GM Brian Wright says everyone is bonded together during this difficult time, as some medical professionals speculate Coach Pop's return will be complicated and difficult at best for the 75-year-old. No word on when that would be. Eric Lycum, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
Bexar County's crisis mental health response team is now in action 24/7. The specialized multidisciplinary alternate response team, or SMART, was first launched 4 years ago to answer mental health 911 calls. The idea is to help people with mental health problems without jailing them if possible. Sufficient funding and staffing are now available to enable the program's expansion. Each SMART unit is a 3-person team, including a Bexar County deputy, a paramedic, and a crisis response clinician. President-elect Trump is not the only one who wants to make America healthy again. Texas state lawmakers are also talking about ways to combat an epidemic of chronic diseases that affect the state's future.
We pay for Medicaid, but we do not regulate the type of food in SNAP or school lunches. I think some of these questions have to be asked.
State Senator Lois Kolkhorst held a hearing on the issues this week. One of the bills filed for the upcoming session would get additives and preservatives out of free and reduced price school lunches. If it seems like more retail outlets are closing up shop rather than holding grand openings, research shows you're right. Here's Fox's Gernald Scott.
As of last week, a research and data firm shows retail closures are outpacing newly opened businesses. Coresight Research tells Fox Business stores shutting their doors number nearly 6,500, while there were slightly less than 5,400 openings. The closings mark the most since the height of the pandemic. Adding to concerns about the economy, Coresight also found that at least 43 companies have declared bankruptcy this year, compared to 25 last year. Factors exist on both sides, consumers not wanting to pay higher prices and retailers facing high labor costs, both affecting the bottom line. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The number of people sickened by the McDonald's E. coli outbreak is at least 104. The cases have been linked to slivered onions that were served on McDonald's Quarter Pounder hamburgers. It is 7:37. Traffic and weather together in a minute, but first, a check of your money in the world of business. Courtney Donahoe is live at the Bloomberg News Desk. Thanks, Courtney. News at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy. Here's traffic and weather.
San Antonio's first news coming up at 7:50. Charlie Parker in studio. He's got not only Parker's picks for the weekend, he's got some streaming suggestions for you. But right now, let's check in with national correspondent Rory O'Neill. Rory covering a lot of the changes we are seeing on Capitol Hill. And Rory, one of those is a new Senate Majority Leader when they reconvene in the new year, and that would be South Dakota's John Thune. What do we know about him, and how did he ascend into that position?
Yeah, Thune, good morning, by the way. Thune, a veteran, but there's some say from the Trump team who are a little upset that this is more of an establishment guy. I think that many of the Trump supporters were hoping for someone else who would stir things up, stir the pot, shake things up, with Rick Scott getting a lot of support, especially since Donald Trump won the election. But Thune is seen as a bit more of the establishment candidate, and perhaps it is a way for senators, secretly, by the way, it's a secret ballot, but senators can show that they want to be independent. They still have the majority and want to support many of the policies of Donald Trump, but they don't want to be seen as just a rubber stamp. So this gives them a little bit of their own spine out there by choosing someone who wasn't going to say yes as much as Rick Scott.
And Rory, what are some of the promises Thune has made to senators in his new leadership position?
Yeah, promising to enact much of the Trump agenda. You know, he was a little bit vague on this idea of recess appointments. We know that some of the appointments that Donald Trump is making, Tulsi Gabbard or Pete Hegseth, or of course, Matt Gaetz, might be a little bit controversial. So they were thinking of having recess appointments that automatically approve them, bypassing the confirmation hearings. Thune was a little bit cagey on that, trying to keep his options open. Wants to, of course, maintain the Senate's role as to providing advice and consent when it comes to these picks.
All right. With special counsel Jack Smith resigning, what happens to the federal cases against former president and now President-elect Trump?
Well, when Jack Smith is done, he still has to provide a report to his boss, the Attorney General. But so it's essentially what I've done for the past 18 months. The big remaining question is, does Attorney General Merrick Garland make that report public? Because this would detail everything that Smith has learned about his investigations into the documents case on Mar-a-Lago and into the voter interference / January 6th case. So it's something that he's been working on, and we'll see if these reports see the light of day.
Our thanks to national correspondent Rory O'Neill. So there's a couple of reports. You know, we talked earlier about the House investigation into Matt Gaetz, who is, now tapped to be the Attorney General. And we're wondering, does that report go away or will it come to light? Because he resigned from the House yesterday. And now you've got this Jack Smith report. He resigns. You've got a new regime and a new Justice Department coming in. But Charity, as Rory just mentioned, will Merrick Garland release that Jack Smith report? I'm sure it can't be very flattering for President-elect Donald Trump.
Yeah, the report details his charging decisions in regard to these Trump cases. I would think Merrick Garland would have to consider that, but I think there definitely is an appetite to know more.
I want to know, and isn't that our money they used, the American people's money they used to finance these reports and these investigations?
True.
And I want to know.
But you've got to wonder, people like Jack Smith, he spent all this time going after Donald Trump and making Donald Trump's life pretty miserable. Now Donald Trump becomes president of the United States. Now, Jack Smith probably smart to resign and move along, but I just wonder if he's concerned that, Donald Trump on the campaign trail talked about retribution. And if he puts a guy in charge of the Justice Department like Matt Gaetz, I wonder if somebody like Jack Smith could somehow be in jeopardy down the line.
I don't think you can rule anything out at this point.
No, you cannot roll anything out.
All right.
Just hold on, fasten your seatbelts.
Going to be a bumpy ride starting on January 20th for a lot of people. All right, coming up, Charlie Parker in studio. He's got Parker's picks for the weekend. He's got streaming recommendations and more. We'll get you caught up on headlines, traffic, and weather. WOAI News Time 744.
Didn't bring it.
Charlie Parker is in studio. We go to him in a moment. Also, in the next hour, Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast at 8:20. And we'll also be playing your talkbacks. Who would you like to see a part of the Trump cabinet? We're getting some creative ideas from you. Right now, Charity McCurdy, what stories are you following?
President-elect Trump met with President Biden at the White House for about 2 hours. Trump continues to make key cabinet appointments, with Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard making waves. And Coach Pop of the Spurs is expected to make a full recovery after suffering a mild stroke. We'll have details ahead. Right now, traffic and weather.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Highs in the upper 70s today and tomorrow. Low 80s on Saturday. 52 degrees at Randolph Air Force Base. 52 at Alamo Ranch. And 51 here at the Radio Ranch. WOAI News Time, 7:50.
San Antonio's first news. Charlie Parker in studio. We're going to get Parker's picks. And I understand, Charlie, you also have some streaming recommendations for us.
Yeah, I'm never here when y'all are talking about streaming. So
right.
I thought I'm doing real good with my picks. I'm 23-10, 3-0 last week. So I thought I'd give you some streaming suggestions.
Nice.
I like to think of myself as knowing what is good and what isn't. Let's see. Before we get to the football, Spurs are now 6-6 after beating the Wizards last night. As has been pointed out repeatedly this morning, 50 for Wemby. A little disappointed that he only had like 5 or 6 rebounds.
Yeah.
Come on,
well,
dude.
He was too busy shooting.
Yeah.
He didn't miss to get any rebounds.
Exactly. The Lakers come to town tomorrow night, and that is the start of everybody's favorite, the NBA Cup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise known, last year they called it the in-season
tournament.
Yes.
Suffice it to say, it's just silly. It's stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah.
So I guess
is there a word worse than stupid?
You don't want a river parade if we win it?
No, I don't care.
Where should we hang the banner? That's what I want to know.
Anybody else does care either. Thursday night football tonight, Washington and Philadelphia.
Ooh.
Do we care? I mean,
we'd like them both
we know
to
the
lose.
Cowboys are done.
Yep.
Do we care who wins the NFC East?
No.
I hate Philadelphia a little more than I hate Washington. I used to really hate Washington when they were good, but now that Washington would be a really interesting story if they won the NFC East. I don't like them.
I hate them all equally.
Yeah, I do
the
too.
Giants. The
I do
Eagles,
too. I want
and
them
the
both to
Commanders.
lose.
Yeah.
But
yes,
Washington does have, Quinn. So, you know what I mean?
Dan Quinn. That would be an in your face to Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm pulling for them.
It's like, hey, going back to Sunday's NFL show on Fox, did you see the story where they were talking, because they were at San Diego at the Naval Base?
Right.
They were talking about that one of the first things Quinn did when he got to Washington was bring in some Navy SEALs to help them with their mental and physical preparedness.
That's one way to do it.
Well, that might have a lot to do with where they are right now.
I got to ask you, Charlie. So when the Texans face the Cowboys on Monday,
Houston.
Okay.
Ooh, wow.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure where your allegiance was.
I'm
Okay.
done. My actual allegiance now is to the Detroit Lions.
I like Detroit a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm done with
I'm
Dallas.
with you. I'm out the door with you.
63 years. I mean, I know how many Super Bowls did we win in those?
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when was the last one? Like
I can't
500 years
remember.
ago?
It's been so long.
1994.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
a
done.
young man.
I'm done. It's, it was hard to do.
Yeah, Jerry had to
Very hard
really
to do.
work hard to drive you away, but
Yeah.
he succeeded.
So you're
Yes.
burning your gear? I mean, that done?
Oh, no, I don't do
Okay.
anything like that. Well, I never burn anything, but I did throw away a lot of
See-
Kawhi Leonard stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I
wouldn't
gave you
even-
socks one Christmas, I think.
Yeah,
Kawhi
they're
Leonard
gone.
socks. Okay.
They
Yeah,
went in the
I wouldn't-
trash with the
Alright.
jersey.
I wouldn't
and
even give my Kawhi
everything
stuff
else.
to Goodwill.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't want to do that to anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I brought this over here by accident. I'm
Yeah,
going to go
sorry.
throw this in the
Yeah.
dumpster. All right, week 12 in college football. It's an okay weekend, just a handful of games that will actually impact the CFP rankings in the playoffs. Number 3, Texas is at Arkansas. Utah at Colorado. Texas A&M plays New Mexico State. Probably should beat them by at least 30. Number 22, LSU is at Florida.
Wow.
SEC game in
Yeah.
the swamp. LSU lost last. Anything can happen. I think maybe the game of the week is number 23, Missouri at number 21, South Carolina.
Okay. That'd be a good one.
Here are my picks.
Okay.
Navy to upset number 25, Tulane. Number 12, Georgia to beat number 7, Tennessee.
Wow.
And they're horrible, but I'm going to take the Air Force Academy at home to upset Oregon State.
Wow. Okay.
And by the way, Georgia's ranked number 12, but that does not mean that Georgia right now, if the playoffs began tomorrow, would be in the playoffs.
No, they would have to win the conference championship.
There's a
Yes.
lot of,
Yeah.
it's too difficult, but they'll explain it to you every
Yes.
Tuesday night at 7:30
Yes.
on ESPN. And I still get
Confused. Yes.
I'll just wait until they tell me whether Alabama got in or not. All right. Keeping with the picks, I got some streaming picks.
All right.
The Old Man.
Love
Yes.
it.
Jeff
Love it.
Bridges and John Lithgow.
Love it.
I love it.
Yeah, the second season just wrapped up. Fight Night. I keep telling this
Man.
to people. Kevin Hart, Samuel L. Jackson, Don Cheadle, Taraji Henson, and Terrence Howard. Outstanding.
Very good.
The Lioness. About the CIA. A Taylor Sheridan
Of course.
creation. I'm not a big Zoe. What's her name? Charity.
Zoe
Deschanel.
Deschanel.
No, Saldana.
No, I'm a big
Saldana.
Saldana.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of her,
Okay.
but the show is done outstanding. Really like that. Disclaimer:
Yes.
Kate Blanchett, Sacha Baron Cohen, Kevin Kline, and Sasha's role is a serious role.
Which is
There
wild.
is some that might be the most graphic sexually,
Yeah.
the most graphic show streaming anywhere right now.
Is that why you recommend it?
No, it's just very, very well acted. It's
Okay.
very dark, but it's really good. Today, the series Cross, based
Ooh.
on James Patterson's
Alex Cross?
books on Alex Cross.
Yeah.
And there were like 32 of them.
Yes.
This isn't based on just like one book. It's like a, conglomerate of things. That begins today. And I'm really looking forward to this Sunday night, the 17th, Landman,
Oh, okay.
which is another Taylor Sheridan creation.
Wow.
And that's Billy Bob Thornton. How can you go wrong with this? Billy Bob Thornton, and I could stop right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Demi Moore, John Hamm,
Oh,
Wow.
Andy Garcia.
That's
you
a
can't go wrong.
cast.
You can't go wrong.
No, you can't. And again, that begins on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that. And and the Lincoln Lawyer,
Oh, I like that.
which
Yeah.
is very,
Always.
very good.
I'm a fan of that
Very-
one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching that last night and I had to ask myself, who is this guy? The actor that plays Mickey Holler. I don't know what his name is, but he's pretty damn good.
He's quite good in that role.
And the
Absolutely.
blonde is hot. So
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
That helps.
Our thanks to Charlie Parker. We'll get Parker's picks up on the website at WOAI.com. Big 8 o'clock hour coming up. Mike Opelka at 8:20. His takes on all the morning's big stories. More of your talkbacks as well. Who would you like to see on the Donald Trump cabinet? WOAI News Time, 7:58.
8 o'clock is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Thursday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, Trump's pick for U.S. Attorney General is creating controversy, and a health update on Coach Pop of the Spurs. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes and mornings. Your weather forecast for this Thursday: sunny skies, a high of 78. Tonight's low near 50. Get a move on. It is 57 degrees. Well, Spurs coach Greg Pop continues to recover from a mild stroke he suffered on November 2nd at the Frost Bank Center. Spurs general manager Brian Wright told reporters before the Wizards game yesterday that the team is hoping and praying for a complete recovery.
When we walk into the building each and every day, we feel that leadership, we feel that presence. And so not having him, there's clearly a void. And we miss him.
Wright says Mitch Johnson will be the interim head coach until further notice. No word on when the 75-year-old Coach Pop will return. Well, more people have been named to some top positions in the incoming Trump administration. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has details.
President-elect Donald Trump announced Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz as his pick for Attorney General. A federal investigation into sex trafficking allegations against Gaetz was closed last year with no charges filed. Florida Senator Marco Rubio was also formally announced as the president's pick for Secretary of State. And while Rubio called it an honor, he also reacted to the Gaetz pick.
I like Matt a lot. I know him very well, and I'm confident that if the Senate confirms him, he would do a good job. And again, presidents are entitled to have the people that they want in these key positions to carry out the mandate that's been delivered to him.
The president-elect also named former Hawaii Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard as his pick for Director of National Intelligence. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
While many Republican senators believe that Gaetz won't be confirmed, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham tells Fox's Hannity he should be given the opportunity that all other appointees have been granted.
I think Matt Gaetz is very bright. I think he's qualified. He'll have a hearing and he'll have some tough questions to answer. But to every Republican, please follow a process to give President Trump the ability to pick the people he thinks can do the job.
And Gaetz has been under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for allegations of sexual misconduct and obstruction of justice, which he denies. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Gaetz resigned from his House position effective immediately. Senate Republicans voted in their new majority leader, selecting South Dakota Senator John Thune over Florida Senator.
San Antonio's first news, a big 8 o'clock hour is upon us. Coming up at 8:20, Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast, his thoughts on the morning's big stories. A little bit later as well, we hear from you on our Talkback feature with Donald Trump making all of these cabinet appointments, nominations. Who would you like to see on the Trump cabinet? We're getting some creative ones from you. Looking forward to those coming up as well. And coming right up, we'll talk about the meeting yesterday in the Oval Office between President-elect Trump and President Joe Biden. A little more cordial than some people expected. We'll have audio and we'll react as well. But first, your traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Today and tomorrow, highs in the upper 70s. Saturday in the low 80s. 52 degrees in Alamo Heights, 52 in Leon Valley, and 51 here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time 8:10.
San Antonio's first news. That's Mr. T, Tim Merriman. She's Charity McCurdy. Our thanks to Charlie Parker, who just joined us in studio. I'm Chris Duell, and yesterday in the Oval Office, they met face-to-face, President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump, and it was a bit more cordial than a lot of people expected. Let's hear from the Oval Office from President-elect Donald Trump.
Thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate very much a transition that's so smooth. It'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
It is a nice world today. A lot of people did not expect it to go as well as it seems to have gone.
Yeah, and I don't know what was more impressive, the firm handshake between the two or that roaring fire in the background. That was kind of distracting, but it was nice to see. I mean, when you consider all of the ugly exchanges during the past year on the campaign trail, it's nice to see the two put their differences aside. And Trump told the New York Post that he wanted President Biden's views specifically on the war in Ukraine, which Trump has promised to end almost immediately upon taking office. And he wanted to know about the ongoing war in the Middle East, wanted President Biden's views on those issues specifically. And President-elect Trump described Biden as being very gracious.
Yeah, it was just nice to see the mutual respect amongst the two combatants as they were during the campaign at first. And then, of course, Vice President Harris took over the Biden part of it. But I just like to see them with that handshake. It was something else. It was nice. They were looking in each other's eyes. It was very respectful. And I like to see that because the country needs to see that.
Yeah, so often we see former presidents at major events, whether there's a state funeral or, even an inauguration. But to see these former presidents like Bill Clinton, we're about to lose Jimmy Carter, but in the past, he was part of that mix. Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and to not in the future see Donald Trump as a part of that because he didn't, he's an outsider in so many ways. I think it's nice to know that that is like one of the greatest fraternities on the face of this earth, former presidents of the United States. And although Donald Trump will be the president January 20th, to know down the line that these guys can get along, I like that. I think that's good for America.
And it sounds like they're keeping the lines of communication open because Trump said that he and President Biden are expecting to see each other again right before Trump's inauguration. And Biden has said he will attend that inauguration.
Yeah, it's good signs all the way around. And let's just get this country back together. Let's, get this divide out of the way. And if this is our leaders showing us it can be done, let's follow that.
And I think it speaks volumes for President-elect Trump that he did want to know and he did listen intently to Joe Biden's thoughts on the war in Ukraine. We know that Donald Trump probably has some severely different views on how that war should be prosecuted. In his view, he thinks he can end that war. He said a few times on the campaign trail he can end that war in one day. And of course, we know that Donald Trump is a big supporter of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have not been very loving to Benjamin Netanyahu throughout the course of this war.
Yeah, again, it's a great example for the American people that two people on opposing sides can come together for the betterment of the country.
I just want to know what they talked about for 2 hours. I just really do want to know that. To be a fly on the wall in that situation and just you take it in. Not that I want to know any, national secrets, but I want to know what else was talked about there. Was there anything about the campaign? Was there anything I didn't like when you did that or anything like that? Because come on, just two guys sitting around talking with a nice fire in the background.
And speaking of fire, reportedly, Donald Trump did not say, "You're fired," when he walked out of the room.
We don't know.
We don't know for sure. No reports that he said, "You're fired." Would have been
that would have been classic.
Yeah,
actually.
would have been a nice exit line. I'm just saying. All right, coming up, Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast. Always good to get his thoughts on the morning's big stories, and that's coming right up. We'll get you caught up on headlines, traffic, weather, and more. WOAI News Time 8:15. We are moments away from connecting with Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast. His takes on all the morning's big stories and some of these Trump picks for his cabinet. I'm sure we'll talk about that. First, Charity, what stories are you following?
Florida Republican Matt Gaetz has resigned from Congress now that it's been nominated by President-elect Trump to be the Attorney General. And Republicans have the trifecta. In addition to the White House and Senate, they've secured control of the U.S. House. And Governor Abbott is calling for a 2-year extension of the tuition freeze already in place for Texas colleges and universities. We'll have details now, traffic and weather.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and on Saturday. Highs today in the upper 70s, tomorrow as well. And then on Saturday, highs in the low 80s. 57 degrees at the Pearl, 57 in Monte Vista, and 56 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 8:20.
So much to talk about with Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast. He's brought to us by Randy Adams Incorporated. Mike, let's start with Matt Gaetz, chosen by Donald Trump for Attorney General. Do you think Republicans in the Senate will stay in line and deliver the nominee that Donald Trump wants for that position?
Well, this is interesting, Chris. This may be the closest vote Mr. Trump has for the confirmation, because you've already got a couple of those rogue Republicans, like Lisa Murkowski is saying, I'm not so sure about this one. Susan Collins of Maine. So there'll be a little arm twisting and maybe some deal making done in the back room before it. Ultimately, as we heard from Thomas Massey, Congressman Massey yesterday, there will be a recess appointment before confirmation. So he will be the Attorney General one way or another.
And Mike, with Gaetz' resignation from the House, what happens with his House Ethics Committee probe? Is he off the hook even if he doesn't get Senate confirmation?
Pretty likely. You know, a lot of these cases are going to go away. And my question is always, why do these take so long? Why does it take so long to investigate any member of Congress? If it were you or I, Charity, that were under investigation for ethics violations or some kind of inappropriate behavior, you know, those investigations would happen immediately by our employer, not take years. So that's one of my gripes that I wish would be straightened out in a bipartisan fashion. Let's have equal and swift justice for all.
And if it's a crime, why aren't the police investigating? I don't understand that.
How dare you ask that about Congress? Don't you know they're immune, especially the senators? And yes, of course, the congressmen too. Yeah, that really is one of those things that makes every citizen on both sides of the aisle angry. Mm-hmm. That if they're elected, they're not given immunity. They have to follow the same laws that we do.
Mike, we've been talking a lot this morning about the meeting in the Oval Office yesterday between President-elect Trump and President Biden. Very, very cordial. And I thought Donald Trump was very, very kind to Joe Biden.
And vice versa, apparently. Although Biden probably was saying, you know, just before the meeting, now who is this guy that's coming in here? and how do I know him? It's one of those things that you want the American example of a peaceful and cordial transfer of power to be shown to the entire world. But I also think there probably were some discussions about what's going to happen after Donald Trump is sworn in. Like, you know, will Hunter get a deal? Because Joe has promised he won't commute his sentence and won't pardon him. So is there a deal in place there already that maybe Trump's cases go away pretty quickly and all across the country, and golly Bob howdy, Hunter is scot-free after that too?
And Mike, do you have any more info about the Elon Musk Vivek Ramaswamy Doja agency and how much power it's going to have and how it's going to operate?
Well, again, it's not really anything other than an advisory department, that these guys aren't government employees, but they are going to be shining very bright spotlights on things that they consider to be a waste of money and a big problem. And then it will be up for the Trump administration to take action either on budget cutting or elimination. And I for one, am happy to see the transparency. They're going to put up, it's already up, the Doge website, where you can see what they're talking about and you can make suggestions. And I'm happy to say that the hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars that we send to NPR is already on the chopping block.
Okay. All right. So I got to ask you about this. Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul in Jerry World this Friday. I wouldn't get in the ring with Mike Tyson. I don't care if he's 65 years old. I wouldn't get in there with him.
No, Mike Tyson with one broken leg and one broken arm would still kill me. But I'm worried about it. You got a guy who's 31 years younger than you are.
Yeah,
and
still.
you've already had one health incident in the last year. Remember Tyson on that
Oh, that's
flight
right. Yeah.
that delayed this whole thing? I love me some Mike Tyson. I'm worried about Mike on this one.
Finally, Mike, lots of people leaving X, leaving formerly known as Twitter. Are you sad to see some of these people go?
No. Not even close. No. Don the Lemon leaving, please. Don got a $24.5 million settlement from CNN when he left. He's got enough to be comfortable. He should stop. Jamie Lee Curtis, I love you, but I'm sorry that you're butthurt over the turn of the country. And Joyless Reed, thank you for leaving. Thank you. So I'm happy about it. That they've kind of set up their own Twitter, their own social media account with Jack Dorsey's, what is it, Blue Sky or something? It's this crazy new social media account, which, I might buy some of the stock, because if they're all going there, why not make money off them?
Amen.
There you go. You can get more Mike Opelka from his Pure Opelka podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcast. We recommend the free iHeartRadio app. Mike, brought to us by Randy Adams Incorporated. Charity's got all the big stories you need to know about at the bottom of the hour. Then we're going to hear from you on the Talkback feature on the free iHeartRadio app. Who would you like to see added to Donald Trump's cabinet? We got some very, very interesting ideas coming right up. WOAI News Time, 8:26.
All right. Okay. All right. That's okay. That's all right. Okay. Oh, God. Here we go.
What now?
How you doing, Eric?
8:30 is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Thursday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, Trump announces more key staff picks and the latest on Coach Pop's health scare. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes and mornings. Your weather forecast for this Thursday: sunny skies, a high of 78. Tonight's low near 50. Right now, 57 degrees. President-elect Trump has chosen far-right Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to lead the Department of Justice, and he resigned from Congress immediately. Here's Fox's Aisha Hasmi with more.
Speaker Mike Johnson says when he had a conversation with Gaetz, Gaetz's reasoning was to basically give Florida Governor Ron DeSantis plenty of time to hold a special election so they don't threaten the majority in the House.
If we start the clock now, if you do the math, we may be able to fill that seat as early as January 3rd when we take the new oath of office for the new Congress. So Matt would have done us a great service by making that decision as he did on the fly. And so we're grateful for that.
But that does not mean that Gaetz has a clear path to Senate confirmation. Mixed reaction in the upper chamber, where Senator Tommy Tuberville is supportive, while Senator Kramer calls it a long shot, and Senator Murkowski says he is not a serious candidate.
The now former congressman was once investigated for sex trafficking by the Justice Department and was under scrutiny by the House Ethics Committee for sexual misconduct. While critics worry that Trump's on a so-called revenge tour by appointing loyalists to his administration, RNC co-chair Laura Trump told Fox's Hannity the president-elect has something else in mind.
Donald Trump said, "My revenge will be success, and success will bring us together and unify us."
Trump also has an advantage of having a Republican majority in the House and Senate, paving the way for his agenda to be passed more easily. Republicans elected South Dakota's John Thune as the new Senate Majority Leader, opting not to go with Florida's Rick Scott or John Cornyn of Texas. Benji Javier has more.
He replaces Senator Mitch McConnell, who's held the top leadership post among Republicans for the past 17 years. It's a major blow for Rick Scott, the man endorsed by Donald Trump's inner circle, including Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Thune has crossed swords with Trump before, when he stood up to the then president's attempts to overturn the 2020 election result, but they've since tried to mend fences. Benji Hire, Washington.
The Onion, a satirical news company, has won the bankruptcy auction for control over Alex Jones's media empire, most notably InfoWars, the far-right conspiracy-minded website that served as Jones' primary online platform. A judge ordered the liquidation of InfoWars so the money can go to the families of the 2012 Sandy Hook school massacre in Newtown, Connecticut. The family successfully sued Jones for saying on his internet show that the killings at the school were a hoax and the victims were paid actors. The Spurs are confirming that head coach Greg Popovich suffered a mild stroke nearly 2 weeks ago. It happened at the Frost Bank Center on November 2nd, the day the Spurs welcomed the Timberwolves. Spurs general manager Brian Wright spoke to the media prior to the team's win over the Wizards.
You know, it takes a village, and we're all committed to that. But most importantly, we're committed to making sure that he has everything he needs and giving him the time and space to continue to recover. And we'll look forward to getting him back.
And there's no word on when Pop will return, but he is expected to make a full recovery. The Spurs won last night's game, 139-130. Victor Wembanyama had a career-high 50 points. The San Antonio Missions baseball team wants to buy some land owned by the San Antonio ISD for their new downtown stadium, but the district is not making it easy.
The San Antonio School District has published a list of 5 conditions to be met for a 2.3-acre parking lot on Cameron Street. They include $45 million for a new school building, a new parking garage, annual tributes to the district, and guaranteed affordable housing to be built. The team had hoped to buy the land for market value, but the district says it needs it. If the team refuses, the district says it could open the sale to someone else and or use its power of eminent domain to buy nearby property that would have been part of the stadium complex. A public meeting is scheduled for November 18th. Eric Lycum, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
Forecasters are warning Florida's Gulf Coast that a potential tropical storm could hit the U.S. next week. Tropical storm Sarah is expected to form in the Caribbean soon. It is projected to deliver life-threatening conditions to Central America as it potentially heads to the Gulf of Mexico. Usually, hurricane season is winding down by now, but this will mark the third named storm in November as waters remain abnormally warm. President-elect Trump is not the only one who wants to make America healthy again. Texas state lawmakers are also talking about ways to combat an epidemic of chronic diseases that affect the state's future.
We pay for Medicaid, but we do not regulate the type of food in SNAP or school lunches. I think some of these questions have to be asked.
State Senator Lois Kolkhorst held a hearing on the issues. One of the bills filed for the upcoming session would get additives and preservatives out of free and reduced price school lunches. The social media platform X is seeing a massive user exodus. One day after the election, over 115,000 users deactivated their account, the biggest loss in users since Elon Musk bought the platform in 2022. Meanwhile, alternative text-based social media apps are reporting an influx of users. It is 8:37. Traffic and weather together in a minute, but first, to check of your money and the world of business, Courtney Donahoe is live at the Bloomberg News Desk. All right, thanks, Courtney. News at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy. Here's traffic and weather.
San Antonio's first news. Mr. T, Charity McCurdy, Charlie Parker joined us earlier in studio. I'm Chris Duell. Andrew Zimmel and EJ Pacheco doing the heavy lifting technically, making the show go. Andrew is directing our YouTube broadcast. You can watch the show on YouTube. Search for 1200 WOAI and you will find us. And this morning we have been asking you in the aftermath of some of the picks Donald Trump has made for his cabinet, including Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence, Pete Hegseth, the Army veteran and Fox News host, for Defense Secretary. We're asking you on our Talkback feature, who would you like to see in the Trump cabinet? Mr. T, what do we got?
We got a few. Here's one.
Good morning, y'all. It's your pool guy, Marco. I think for press secretary, we could have either Morgan Freeman, who will keep everybody calm and collected, or Samuel L. Jackson, just to hear them bleep out "mother, father" on air. Y'all have a good one.
That's quite we either go with Morgan Freeman or Samuel L. Jackson. I like both. Both are intriguing. Oh, by the way, breaking news. Charity, Charlie Parker told us in studio
Yes, he did.
that if he is nominated to be White House press secretary, he would serve. He would not turn down that role. Charlie Parker will say yes if President-elect Trump nominates him as White House press secretary.
All right. Well, we need everyone to get the word out on social media because we know Parker is not on social media. So
This is true.
let's start the movement.
This is
Yes,
true.
let's make it happen.
All right, here's another one.
Sorry, said that wrong the first time. Let's try again. I second the motion for Charity as press secretary. There we go. Now I got it right.
See, if you get it wrong, you can correct it.
Yes.
Oh, wow. A second submission for the press secretary.
Now, see, this is awkward here, Charity, because we've got two people in the building now, you and Charlie Parker, who are being considered for White House press secretary.
You know, I feel like Parker has more free time, so I think he's probably a better candidate.
I think there should be a debate.
I like that. I like a debate.
All right, here we go.
For President Trump's press secretary, I would definitely want to see a stand-up comedian, and I'm thinking Bill Burr or Keegan-Michael Key or even Shane Gillis. But for Keegan-Michael Key, he'd have to be Obama's interpreter that bit the whole time. But I kind of want to see Bill Burr because I think it would be entertaining to see him make the press people cry.
A lot of people are going press secretary. Yeah. And I wonder if that should be the goal of a press secretary. Let me see if I can make the press corps cry today.
Okay. I mean, you don't want it to be the other way around where the press corps is making you cry as press
You don't
secretary.
want to do that. You don't want to do that. No. No, all right, hang on. We got one from Officer John that's coming in.
Officer John,
Just
who
got to check
joined
it
us
for
at Opelka Con.
profanity. Here we go.
Okay, this is Officer John. Long time no talk. Candace Owen, she would be a great press secretary. She tells like it is, and she'll fight like a mad dog. Thank you. Enjoy, guys.
There you go.
Candace Owen.
I can see
Officer
it.
John, always good to hear from him.
Always good to hear from him. Yeah. All right, then we have one more, and this is about Pete Hegseth.
Now,
So
we
here-
were talking just
Yes.
to just reset. Pete Hegseth, the Army veteran, very decorated, has been on Fox News for quite some time recently, nominated as defense secretary by Donald Trump. Now, he has said, and we talked about this earlier, he is not a big fan of women in combat roles in the military. He said this very recently as well. Now, he hasn't said he would change the policy, but he doesn't like it having served in combat.
So here's an answer to that.
Pete Hegseth was on the Sean Ron show 6 days ago and explained some of those things you're talking about on the radio. He does not think women should be doing muscle things against men, but okay with fighter pilots. And listen to the Sean Ron show.
Okay.
Very nice. So he's good with women being fighter pilots, and women have served with great distinction and very, very effectively as fighter pilots in our armed forces. So that would make sense to me.
All right, one just came in real quick.
Okay.
WAI, I've got a cabinet pick. How about Tony Stewart for Secretary of Transportation?
Thank you.
Okay. Tony Stewart, the NASCAR driver.
There you have it.
Yeah. Okay. I like Danica Patrick better.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
Yes.
Danica Patrick's already on Team Trump.
Yeah. There
So
you go.
she would, and she'd be a fairly easy on the eyes
Yes.
transportation secretary. Not that that's a prerequisite.
A most important qualification in your book, Chris? I guess.
See,
Okay.
I did
It
not
helps.
say most
It
important
helps.
qualification. I'm saying it's nice.
Okay. Okay.
It's nice.
Yeah. It does. It's very nice.
And you as press secretary, Charity,
See?
little eye candy is a good thing in a presidential cabinet.
Sure.
Easy for me to say.
Okay. Well, they don't like my answer. I guess, hopefully that could be a positive distraction. We'll see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. More coming up. We'll get you caught up on headlines, traffic, weather, and more. WOAI News Time, 846. Coming up, as Charity's been reporting that news about The Onion, the satirical publication, buying Alex Jones' InfoWars in the bankruptcy auction. We'll talk about that coming up. First, though, Mr. T, you got one more nomination for a Trump cabinet position.
Yeah, this comes from our longtime listener, Danny Morrison. He says, Snoop for head of the DEA.
Snoop Dogg, head of the DEA. I could live with that. Everybody loves Snoop these days.
Yeah, I can see positive change.
The times they are a-changing.
Amen.
Charity, what stories are you working on?
President-elect Trump continues to make his cabinet selections with Republicans in control of the White House, the Senate, and House. And it's no joke. The satirical website The Onion has bought Alex Jones's InfoWars at a bankruptcy auction. And the Bexar County Crisis Mental Health Response Team is now available 24/7. We'll have details right now, traffic and weather.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Highs today and tomorrow in the upper 70s, low 80s on Saturday. It is 57 degrees in Lackland Air Force Base, 57 at Fort Sam Houston, and 56 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time 8:52.
San Antonio's first news. Our thanks to E.J. Pacheco and Andrew Zimmel for flying the Millennium Falcon this morning, doing the heavy lifting technically. As Charity just reported, the satirical news publication The Onion has won the bidding for Alex Jones' InfoWars at a bankruptcy auction. And interestingly, Charity, they were backed financially by the families of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. And of course, we know that Alex Jones owes those families more than $1 billion in defamation judgments for having called it a hoax on his InfoWars programs.
Yeah, so the judge allowed Jones to liquidate his assets in order to pay the families of the Sandy Hook victims. And The Onion reportedly is planning to shut down InfoWars and will in turn recreate its website, which will feature humor writers and content creators. But yeah, this sale had the backing of several of the Connecticut families of Sandy Hook. They issued a joint statement saying by divesting Jones of InfoWars assets, the families and the team at The Onion have done a public service and will meaningfully hinder Jones's ability to do more harm.
Yeah, and they also went on to say their exclusive launch advertiser will be Gun Violence Prevention Organization, Everytown for Gun Safety. So that's them throwing it right back out there. And I think, it's good for them.
Yeah, and very, very ironic that of all entities that would purchase InfoWars, it would be The Onion, which is known for putting out fake but humorous news stories.
Sometimes even it's satire. It can still punch you in the gut a little bit, depending on the topic.
Yeah, it can. But you got to remember where it's coming from.
True. When you read The Onion, hopefully you know. All right. Tomorrow, big day. It's a Red Friday. We wear red every Friday to remember everyone deployed till they all come home. And Randy Beamer will be on board Fridays with Beamer. Charity, think you need some therapy of any kind from Dr. Beamer tomorrow?
I feel like he's going to determine that for me. So
as a good therapist does.
Yeah.
Oh, just got a text from Randy right now, says he's listening.
Yeah, he knows what you need. He's listening and taking notes.
Yes. Yes.
Very, very good. All right. So we look forward to tomorrow. Hey, we might have some more cabinet picks by
Ooh,
President-elect
another day.
Trump.
Yeah.
So maybe Snoop Dogg's in the mix
It could be.
for head of the DEA. It could happen. And if it does, we'll be all over it.
Yes, we will.
We've got Glenn Beck coming at you before that at the top of the hour. Charity's got all the big stories you need to know about on this Thursday morning. Right now, your Sean Hannity Morning Minute, WOAI News Time, 8:55.
Everybody have a great day. We will see you mañana.
Adios.